Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Let you conquer the abyss, and you become the king of the abyss. Chapter 1. Haichung No. 1 Middle School. The school playground. A group of young boys and girls stood in front of the job transfer altar, their faces full of expectation. I'm going to transfer soon. I wonder what my job will be. Combat, support, or life. It would be great if I could choose. What if I awaken to a beggar job? GG. If I can choose, I will definitely choose a mage. Mages are the most popular. Brother, don't think about it. If I transfer to a mage, I will wake up with a smile in my dreams. The heated discussion continued. Then, exclamations were heard in front of the job transfer altar. I'm a B-level combat profession. Knight. Awesome, this profession is great, you can fight and carry. You can choose a shield knight in the first level job transfer. We'll rely on you to be the front row when we level up later. I'm a C-level auxiliary profession. Medic, it's over, brothers. Little milk is still milk, it's drinkable. Gon Li Niang. I'm a D-level life profession. Brick mover, it's hard to find a job even if you're a brick mover now. Brick moving is not bad, at least the strength is strong enough, and great strength can make miracles happen. Maybe I can kill low-level abyss monsters. I'm an E-level life profession. A singer and dancer. Get away, you're unlucky. People who have been on the job transfer altar have both joy and sorrow. 200 years have passed since Blue Star opened the era of universal job transfer. As long as you are 18 years old, you can awaken and transfer. During these 200 years, the entire planet has expanded more than 10 times, and the ecological environment has changed greatly. Powerful abyss monsters invaded, giving birth to countless dangerous areas. The terrifying abyss creatures on the 99th floor broke the limits of the current world and occupied half of the blue planet. 200 years have passed, and humans have not been able to completely block the abyss and take back that half of their homeland. At this time, the teacher in charge of maintaining order said directly, "Next, Shu Jin." The lively playground suddenly became quiet. A young man with a proud look walked to the altar, with a confident expression, and stretched out his hand to press on the professional god stone. Someone couldn't help but mutter, "Shu Jin will definitely be a mage, right? That must be it. Brother Shu's parents are second-turn professionals, and I heard that Uncle Shu is ready to impact level 90 and be promoted to a third-turn high-level professional. I guess even if Brother Shu doesn't become a mage, his family will sell everything they have to buy a sky-high professional book in the mall for him to use when he is in the second turn. This is called winning at the starting line. Other people's starting line is our finish line. I'm so envious." Many people did not hide their envious expressions. Soon, the light of the god stone burst out and enveloped Shu Jin, almost covering most of the transfer altar. This scene surprised the teacher next to him, who pushed his glasses. Is it an A-level profession? Is our Haichung number 1 middle school going to produce a genius? Before he finished speaking, the light disappeared. The huge stone on the altar showed the word, mage. The crowd suddenly burst into exclamations. Awesome, the first mage this year. Change to a mage, isn't this going to take off? There were also girls shouting, Brother Shu Jin, I'm a nurse, I have enough milk, you can try it first. No, this one you're talking about, is it serious? Even the teacher couldn't hide his excitement and praised, Shu Jin, the mage is an A-level profession, you have a bright future. Thank you, teacher. Shu Jin nodded arrogantly and walked towards the crowd. Brother Jin, awesome. Several lackeys immediately surrounded him, asking about his well-being and flattering him. Shu Jin waved his hand and pretended to be modest. It's expected that I can change my job to a mage. I thought I could awaken an S-level hidden job. Alas, I'm just unlucky. I don't know how to explain it to my parents when I go back. Although he said this, he was almost proud. At this time, Shu Jin turned his eyes and looked at a handsome boy not far away, and deliberately said, Chu Ran, what do you think your job will be? Let's talk. The eyes of the people around him immediately looked over. Especially girls. After all, the boy with his hands in his pockets is too handsome and has an impeccable appearance. Hearing Shu Jin's words, Chu Ran yawned, I don't know. Who can tell the matter of job change clearly? As for Shu Jin's deliberate provocation, he has long been used to it. When this kid first entered school 3 years ago, he was jealous of his popularity among female classmates and repeatedly picked quarrels and made appointments for fights. Chu Ran was annoyed and beat him to the point of almost peeing his pants. This grudge has been going on for 3 years. In the past, Chu Ran would have fought him. Now he is too lazy to care. He has been in this world for 18 years, but he has not waited for the system, nor the old man, nor the awesome cheats and plugins. Once the initial novelty wore off, he became very Buddhist, a salted fish. Seeing Chu Ran being so perfunctory, Shu Jin stared at his face and said sourly in his heart, "This pretty boy deserves a beating." But then he thought about it and realized that he had changed his job to a mage, and he was destined to be a different class from Chu Ran in the future. He sneered and pretended to be generous. "It's okay, Chu Ran, I'm a mage now, and it's no problem for me to take you to the lowest level training area to gain some experience. But you'd better change your job to a security guard, a chef, or something. Come to my house to look after the gate and cook, and I will definitely give you a meal." Brother Shu is generous. Otherwise, it has to be a rich family with good upbringing. Brother Shu has forgiven you. Chu Ran, why don't you thank Brother Shu? Several lackeys immediately started to attack. Chu Ran glanced at them and slowly took his hand out of his pocket. The lackeys were startled and retreated in unison, leaving only Shu Jin standing there. Shu Jin was also shocked. He had never won a fight with Chu Ran in the past few years, and he was traumatized by the fight. But he reacted immediately. "I'm a professional now, why should I be afraid of him?" "Shu Jin, you're looking for trouble, aren't you?" A muscular boy rushed over, his voice buzzing. "Don't think I won't fight you just because you changed your job to a mage. If you mess with Ran again, I'll blow your dog head off." His name is Qi Wenxuan, one of Chu Ran's few friends, and he can be considered a buddy who grew up together. Shu Jin was slightly startled and snorted, "What are you pretending to be, you stinky warrior? What are you arguing about?" The teacher next to the altar shouted, with an unhappy expression, "Chu Ran, it's your turn." Chu Ran patted the burly boy's shoulder. "Wenxuan, I'm going to change my job." Qi Wenxuan responded, and then looked Shu Jin up and down with a dangerous look, as if he was thinking about where to start breaking. Both of them were just changed professions, and the warrior's physical attributes were higher. At such a close distance, Shu Jin was really a little scared. Shu Jin felt uneasy, but didn't want to lose face, so he said stubbornly, "Just wait, Chu Ran, this pretty boy must be a rubbish profession." Qi Wenxuan clenched his fists and showed a big white teeth. "That doesn't stop the two of us from beating you." "Reckless man," Shu Jin cursed, thinking that he was a noble mage and didn't want to argue with a muscle head. At this moment, Chu Ran had come to the job change altar and slowly raised his hand. Although he was a Buddhist, Chu Ran was still a little nervous when the time came. "What would my profession be? I hope it's a combat profession. This world needs more heroes." Chu Ran thought to himself and put his hand on the magic stone. Job change begins. Chu Ran put his hand on the magic stone. Suddenly, a dazzling light flashed. It was countless times more exaggerated than when Shu Jin was changing jobs just now. It instantly covered the entire job change altar and continued to expand outward. What's going on? Did he blow up the magic stone? Oh my god, this kind of job change light effect, could it be an S-level hidden job? The young students present were stunned. Even several teachers were stunned. But their expressions immediately became excited. "Genius. This is definitely a top genius. We have an S-level hidden job in No. 1 middle school." Just when everyone's eyes were focused on the dazzling light, the light effect that was supposed to last for about 10 seconds suddenly went out, like a broken bubble without a trace. Gah! Several teachers opened their mouths wide and uttered meaningless syllables, and their old waists were almost broken. What's going on? The job change magic stone went on strike. Can this thing stop halfway? Someone reacted. Look what profession it is. Everyone looked at the magic stone. A line of words appeared on it. Quote ? Level profession. Walker. ? Level. What level is this? What is a walker? I've never heard of it. The young students whispered to each other. Several teachers looked at each other, all confused. Chu Ran, tell me, what's going on? A teacher stepped forward and patted Chu Ran. Chu Ran was also stunned at this time, with a little surprise, a little complexity, and a little absurdity in his expression. I'm not sure. Chu Ran shook his head and said, I'll tell you after I go home and study it. In the crowd, Shu Jin, who was frightened by the light of the job transfer, immediately said, I said that this guy must not be very good when he awakened. He hasn't even determined his level, and I've never heard of his name. Chu Ran, now you don't even have the qualifications to go to my house to see the gate. Several lackeys laughed very cooperatively, laughing and laughing. Hey, I thought Chu Ran could create some miracle. What a pity, he is so handsome. What's the use of being handsome? In this era, profession is king. It's not the time to make a living by relying on face like hundreds of years ago. What a useless person. I wrote him a love letter when I was in the second year of high school. Now I think it's a close call. I almost went astray. Several girls also gathered together to discuss. They were all female lickers who had pursued Chu Ran before but were rejected and held a grudge. For these gossips, Chu Ran raised his eyebrows and walked to Qi Wenxuan with a half-joy and half-worry look. Qi Wenxuan showed an expression of wanting to say something but stopping, patted Chu Ran on the shoulder and said, Ranzi, it's okay. It doesn't matter if your profession is not good. When you turn to level 30, I will take you to the abyss. Chu Ran sighed and said nothing, staring at the profession panel that only he could see, and pondered for a while. At this time, the teacher who maintained order said calmly, well, with so many people in the world, it is normal to occasionally see a few professions that have never been seen. Now the frequency of abyss invasions is getting faster and faster, and we humans have not yet regained that half of our homeland. Any professional is a helper to mankind. If you have time to laugh at others, you might as well look at yourself more. Next, the job transfer continues. Shu Jin looked at Chu Ran, who was wandering in the sky, and said calmly, in today's society, a loser without a good profession is worse than a beggar. Chu Ran, I have connections at home and can help you get the Disadvantaged Occupation Security Fund. Call me Brother Shu, I will do this for you. Shu Jin, I haven't beaten you for a few months. Do you want your buddies to give you a break? Qi Wenxuan clenched his fists and his eyes widened. Tisk. Shu Jin shook his head and retreated behind the followers calmly. You and this waste will not be the same kind of people in the future. I advise you not to waste your time. I'm going to the leveling area to level up. After that, he led a group of lackeys away. Qi Wenxuan was so angry that his temples were throbbing, but he didn't notice that Chu Ran's expression had changed. Level up. Can I still level up with my profession? Chu Ran thought silently in his heart and looked at his panel. Profession. SSSSS level, Abyss Walker. Passive. Abyss Agent. You are the agent of the Abyss, and your experience is increased tenfold. The burst rate is increased tenfold. In the Abyss, skills have no CD and no consumption. Passive. Shadow Guardian. You have gained the protection of darkness, and the damage caused to you by Abyss creatures is permanently reduced by 90%. Passive. Lord of the Abyss. You will eventually become the master of the Abyss, and everything in the Abyss is at your disposal. Second turn activation effect. Active skill. Status shock. Wherever you look, all Abyss creatures with a lower status than you will be greatly weakened. Abyss Walker, a 5S level profession. Has there ever been a 5S level profession in history? Isn't the highest a SSS hidden profession? And this description looks a bit harsh. Chu Ran carefully looked at his panel several times, with a thoughtful look on his face. These introductions don't look like a good person no matter how you look at them. Especially at this time, the teacher next to the job transfer altar was still making an impassioned speech, telling the bloody history of mankind's fight against the Abyss for 200 years, and those legendary professionals who are committed to expelling the Abyss and taking back the human home. Many young students around blushed when they heard this, and they wanted to run to the Abyss dungeon to fight monsters immediately. Expel the Abyss. I don't know who came up, and suddenly shouted, which startled Chu Ran. Drive out the Abyss. Take back your home. Kill it, brothers. As soon as the shout rang out, there was a crowd of followers. Even Qi Wenxuan shouted excitedly several times. Chu Ran stood among them, gradually falling into deep thought. People's joys and sorrows are not the same, and Chu Ran only feels that they are noisy at the moment. Ranzi, why don't you say anything? Qi Wenxuan suddenly slapped him in the face and said with excitement, what a great teacher's lecture. Drive away the Abyss and regain our homeland. One of our brothers is a warrior, and the other, that. Walker. Qi Wenxuan was a little embarrassed, then waved his hand and said, "It doesn't matter, we two brothers will become bigger and stronger, and we will kill the whole abyss." Chu Ran's scalp was numb. Ah, okay. He suddenly missed the forum website in his previous life. If possible, he would like to post a message. Oops, the abyss is actually me. How to break, wait online, urgent. Chu Ran, who was full of worries, did not continue to watch the job transfer. He left the school with questions in his head and rushed towards the nearest monster spawning area. There are many low-level abyss dungeon areas in Haicheng City, so he decided to find a suitable place first to test his conjecture. Abyss Walker, you should also be able to spawn monsters and upgrade, right? Chu Ran panicked. There are 99 levels in the abyss. Every area where monsters are spawned is the product of the abyss invading reality. The most invaded areas are the 1st to 10th levels of the abyss. These 10 levels are also called low-level abyss, which correspond to the professionals before level 30. They have long been conquered by humans and turned into a novice village for monster spawning and upgrading. Haicheng City has many low-level abyss monster spawning areas. The cute new team, Killer Crab Beach, has joined the team. Is there anyone who can level up together? Shadow Forest Racing Team, quick grinding at level 5 to 10, no professional discrimination, master is given priority. There's someone coming from the Ghost Tower. The threshold is level 25. Let's have someone in the front row who can withstand mental attacks. Haicheng, in front of the copy teleportation array. It's as lively as a vegetable market. Basically, professionals below level 25 form a team. Teams formed one after another and soon stepped into the teleportation array and disappeared into light. The monster spawning areas are distributed throughout Haicheng. Teleportation arrays have been set up at all captured locations, which can be reached in 1 second, which is very convenient. Chu Ran stood in front of the light screen that introduced each area, holding his chin and thinking, I have just changed my job now, and I should go to level 0 to 5 to practice. But my job description is quite harsh, why don't I try to skip a level? Spawn monsters. There is an experience bonus for killing monsters by leapfrogging. Wealth are gained through risk, and risks are directly proportional to returns. On the contrary, if the level crushes the abyss creatures, a lot of experience will be reduced and there will be no benefit. That's not right. Then Chu Ran thought again. My only active skill doesn't seem to have any offensive power. Will it be overturned if I jump to a higher level and fight monsters rashly? Should I play it safe or take a gamble? Chu Ran opened his career panel, looked at the passive ones, and gradually got the answer. Give it a try and turn your bicycle into a motorcycle. Take a gamble and turn your motorcycle into a Land Rover. Anyway, I have the God level passive of Shadow Guard, which reduces the damage of abyssal creatures by 90%. As long as you don't encounter a big boss that knocks you out, you'll definitely be able to defeat a few high-level monsters. Try it. Chu Ran made up his mind and walked towards the teleportation array in the Shadow Forest. Shadow Forest. Recommended level 5 to 15. Maximum team size. 6 people. The light curtain floating above the teleportation array has information about the Shadow Forest written on it. Chu Ran was about to step in. A fussing voice came. Chu Ran, you have a rubbish profession and you still want to leapfrog monsters. No, you don't want to commit suicide, right? Chu Ran turned around and saw Xu Jin, and said lazily, What's the matter, are you afraid that I will commit suicide and leave you without a father? Xu Jin's face suddenly darkened, and he said coldly, You are just a talker. Don't worry, in a few days, society will teach you how to behave. It's a rubbish profession. I don't know what you can pretend to be. Xu Jin, why are you fighting with a weak profession? Don't waste time, hurry up and enter the teleportation array. Next to Xu Jin, a young man with a proud face and a white mage robe said, The Secret Magic Society has an event today, organize people to go there after completing the level 40 secret realm and upgrading it with you, I have to go to work. The words have not yet finished. The sounds around the teleportation array suddenly became silent. Many people couldn't help but look over. Is this a one-time boss? That's for sure. Didn't you hear the boss mention the Secret Law Guild? That's the Haicheng City Grand Guild. It only accepts mages. The threshold for joining is level 30 in one turn. If you can clear a level 40 secret realm, You are at least a level 35 boss. The boss personally takes the newcomers to level up. Whose young master is this? I don't know, it's all just envy. The discussion around them made Shu Jin and Yorong Yan politely say to the young man, Brother Bai, you are right. I have just changed my job, haven't I yet adapted to the mentality? The young man said calmly, for your father's sake, let me teach you a little more. In this era where career determines everything, a useless career is like a dog. If the dog barks twice, people will only find it interesting and laugh at will. Don't take your laughter seriously. If a dog wants to bite you, just kill it. Is there any need to waste your time? Shu Jin's whole body felt numb after hearing this, and he was almost overjoyed. This is called the mentality of a strong person. If the dog barks at you twice, just laugh it off. If you dare to bite me, I will kill you directly. Yes, Brother Bai is so right. Shu Jin nodded, looked at Chu Ran again, and said with superiority, Chu Ran, did you hear that? This is the identity gap, what are you barking at? Chu Ran took out his ears and said calmly, when I see you are such a big piece of shit, just scream a few times. Shu Jin was stunned. Then he said angrily, what the hell? That's when. The arrogant young man frowned and looked at the light curtain in the shadow forest. Huh. The boss has been refreshed. Boss. Shu Jin immediately calmed down, shrank his neck in fear and said, Brother Bai, the boss of the shadow forest is a level 30 fear tree man, right? What should I do? The arrogant young man said coldly, it doesn't matter, I will take action. Let's go. He immediately stepped into the teleportation array. The two formed a team. Shu Jin didn't dare to delay and quickly followed. After they disappeared, the surrounding professionals all showed envious expressions. Look, this is the real boss. It doesn't matter, I will take action. You can't say this if you don't have the confidence. I don't know when I can turn around. I'm so impressed. Everyone was discussing the arrogant young man just now. It was rare to see a first-level professional in such a low-level teleportation point. Everyone was excited and no one paid attention to Chu Ran at all. Tisk, make way, make way. Chu Ran was happy to be quiet and squeezed through the crowd to walk towards the teleportation array. Confirm to enter. Shadow Forest. Confirm, I clicked the wrong button. Chu Ran confirmed without hesitation. Shadow Forest, teleport. The world was spinning in front of him, and when he looked up, he had been randomly teleported to a corner of the Shadow Forest. Is this the Shadow Forest? It's quite scary. Looking at the dark and strange trees and bushes around him, Chu Ran sighed, find a handy weapon first. Looking around, he saw a straight branch. The branches here are as hard as steel. Except for occasional falling off, only the skills of professionals will break some of them. Chu Ran walked over, picked it up and waved it a few times. A sense of pride rose in his chest, and he nodded with satisfaction, not bad. Come on, are there any stupid monsters for me to practice with? Carrying the branch, Chu Ran walked a few steps into the forest, and immediately saw a pheasant that was completely black and as tall as a person. Shadow Pheasant. Level 7 creature. Skills: throwing stones, flapping wings, slamming, shadow crow, mental damage. Information streams flashed across his vision, introducing the creature in front of him. Level 7 chicken. Let me see if it's beautiful. Chu Ran walked over with the stick. When the shadow pheasant saw Chu Ran, it immediately shook its wings and screamed. Just because. Cluck. The visible ripple spread. This is a mental shock. Chu Ran suffered a mental shock head-on. I shook my head slightly and felt a little annoyed, but there was no other abnormality. Chu Ran was also a little surprised. Psychic shock is useless to me. This is a very tricky attribute. Psychic attacks are one of several abnormal attributes that many professionals cannot handle. They must have a high-spirited profession, such as a magician, or a front-row tank with specialized skills to handle them. Ordinary little crispies have to kneel down and kowtow when they are hit. At this time, a stream of information was refreshed in front of Chu Ran's eyes again. Shadow Guardian. The judgment takes effect. The damage caused by abyssal creatures to you is permanently reduced by 90%. Saved. Life -1 mental. So cool. I'm so awesome, I'm blowing myself off. Chu Ran laughed after reading it, and immediately rushed over with a branch and hit the shadow pheasant's comb directly. Die to me. Bang. -10 damage popped up in front of my eyes. Chu ran. Shadow pheasant. Cluck. Okay, you're not bad either. The next second, Chu ran said harshly, what's wrong with 10 points of health? If you have a health bar, I'll grind you to death. There was a loud banging sound. After playing for more than 10 minutes, Chu ran was panting. He propped up his knees and looked up at Shadow Pheasant's health bar. How about half of it? You are a chicken. Is your blood so thick? Is there still King's Law? Is there still law? Chu ran completely refused to admit that his weapon was too rubbish. This straight branch was very handsome, but it was useless. Cack. Shadow Pheasant was hit hundreds of times and was very angry at this time. It flapped its wings and prepared to complain. Chu ran quickly got out of the way. Even with passive damage reduction. It hurts a bit. I don't believe it anymore. How can I let you bully me? Chu ran breathed a sigh of relief into his hand and rushed forward with the stick again. Crazy battle with pheasants. After playing for a while, Chu ran suddenly remembered that he had a skill. Even though it was just a weakening skill, it was still better than nothing. What's more, in the abyss, if you cast your own skills at no cost or CD, you can kill this chicken with debuff buffs. Still young and inexperienced, after Chu ran reflected on himself, he released his skills without hesitation. Moreover, it is a crazy release. With a thought, he releases it hundreds of times like a wild bomb. Personality shock. No consumption, no CD. All abyss creatures whose personality is lower than yours will be greatly weakened. At this time, an indescribable swirling cloud appeared above the shadow forest. Crimson lightning flashed crazily, and an extremely terrifying aura spread in all directions, spreading almost quickly and covering the forest for hundreds of miles. Deep in the shadow forest, many abyssal creatures trembled and fled like crazy. Many low-level monsters died suddenly on the spot. The professionals who were still passionate about killing monsters were dumbfounded when they discovered this abnormality. After beating him, the little monster died suddenly. Whose does it belong to? But soon someone noticed the dark clouds on the ceiling and exclaimed, what the hell? Holy shit, big scene. Did the 99th level of Abyss invade and the devil come out? Brothers, the monsters have gone crazy and are running away to death. What should we do? A group of professionals are going crazy at the moment. The monster spawning went well, but who did you offend? Other side. The arrogant young man was holding a gorgeous staff and was leading Shu Jin to beat a level 15 abyss monster. Basically, he cripples the monster in a few or 2 strokes, and then gives it to Shu Jin to gain experience with the last hit. Shu Jin was so happy that he ate several monsters. Upgrading was like riding a rocket. He was now at level 4. Shu Jin also held a new staff and said happily, if I keep doing this, I'm expected to reach level 10 today, and I can learn a new skill. Whoosh! Suddenly, the arrogant young man used a low-level instant ice cone technique to beat the monster to its remaining health, and coldly shouted, last hit. Shu Jin reacted, here he comes. He immediately began to chant, the spirit of fire answers my call and is driven by me to burn my enemies. A basketball-sized fireball gathered at the top of his staff. Master Fei outputs violence and has no major shortcomings in any aspect. Apart from his fragile body, he also needs to recite his skills for too long and is easily targeted. After defeating this monster, I should be at level 5. It's so cool. Shu Jin waved his staff and was about to kill the monster, but the monster suddenly screamed as if it had seen something terrible. Its health bar was cleared on the spot, and it died suddenly. Bang! Shu Jin's fireball technique only hit the corpse, not the chicken feathers. Ah, what's going on? He was dumbfounded. The arrogant young man also frowned. Could it be that he made a mistake? It shouldn't be. He opened the panel and took a look, but found no experience. Someone cut him off in front of him. Brother Bai, what is that? Shu Jin suddenly screamed, looking at the sky with a horrified face, and almost peed his pants. What's all the fuss about? The arrogant young man also looked up, and his eyes almost rolled down when he saw it. Holy shit, he broke through his defense instantly. The sky was covered by a thick and strange black cloud at some point, with a vortex in the center and blood-red lightning flashing. Indistinctly, one could see an indescribable huge shadow in the depths of the clouds, supporting the entire sky. It was like the abyss demon, looking down on the earth. Boom boom boom. Before the two of them could react, a terrifying sound of footsteps came, and the entire ground was shaking. The arrogant young man turned his head and was horrified. It's the Fear Tree Man. A huge monster nearly 30 meters long was approaching. It had human-like hands and feet, and the whole was a black tree. There was a hideous and terrifying face on the trunk, screaming as it ran towards them. The arrogant young man kicked Shu Jin away, avoiding the tree man's path, and quickly cast the ice armor spell and rolled over to avoid it. A level 30 boss, which only refreshes once a month, requires at least a level 40 professional to deal with it. The arrogant young man acted calm before, just because he thought he was not so unlucky to run into the boss as soon as he arrived. Let him brush the level 30 boss. Isn't that bragging? Who takes it seriously? Just when the Fear Tree Man passed by, the ice armor spell on his body exploded instantly, and his blood bar dropped a lot. Shu Jin was thrown away by the aftershock and fell heavily dozens of meters away. He only had a trace of blood left and almost died on the spot. Fortunately, the tree man didn't care about them. The 30-meter terrifying body swept past, bringing rolling dust and smoke. Wherever it passed, it was like a natural disaster, and the ground shook. The shock gradually faded away. The arrogant young man was covered in dust and fear. What's going on? Did the demon invade? Or did a big guy take action to clear the field? Similar situations happened in every corner of the entire Shadow Forest. The monster ran around madly and died suddenly soon after, leaving many people confused. At the same time, as the initiator of everything, Chu Ran's scalp was numb. He looked at the shadow pheasant that was shattered into a pulp, and slapped his forehead. Is this shock? This is shock, shattered shock. But he didn't have time to be surprised, because he was being bombarded with information again. You killed Shadow Pheasant. It was determined to be a cross-level monster. Abyss acting passive, 10 times the experience is effective. Experience gained 13,278. You upgraded. You killed. Experience gained. You killed. You killed the Fear Tree Man. Upgrade light continued to burst out from Chu Ran's body, stacked together, and turned into light. You killed Shadow Hound. It was determined that the monster's level was too low, and the experience was attenuated. Abyss's proxy judgment took effect, and experience was gained, 10. Current level, 27. Attribute points gained, 27. New skills gained. New skills gained. The information flow in front of Chu Ran refreshed for dozens of seconds, and his level was rising sharply, almost making him very happy. Oh my god, 27 levels in a second. No one would believe it if I told them. I didn't clear all the monsters in the entire Shadow Forest, did I? Too cruel, too cruel. This shock effect is really awesome. It scared the monsters to death. Chu Ran smacked his lips and savored it for a while. This crazy upgrade really felt great, and his mouth was about to be crooked with joy. 27 attribute points, and learned 2 new skills. This wave is directly taking off. It's a pity that the Shadow Forest was blown up by me, and the experience attenuation was too severe, otherwise I would probably be able to directly change my job for the first time. You can change your job every 30 levels. If you are lucky, you can also swipe out a hidden profession of the same system. The later you go, the stronger the hidden profession is. If the first awakening of a profession is a predetermined fate, then changing your profession is an opportunity to change your fate. There was a big man in the life system who survived to the 9th turn and directly awakened an SSS-level hidden profession, changing his fate against the will of heaven and becoming a legendary professional in human history. My starting point is 5S level. If I change my profession, wouldn't it be a direct increase in the sky and make a great achievement? It's worth looking forward to. However, Chu Ran didn't stand still and immediately started the reverse teleportation and slipped away. After all the monsters in the whole map were cleared by himself, and other professionals must be exploding now. Although he might not be suspected, it would be embarrassing to stand here stupidly and be bumped into by others. A burst of light flashed. Chu Ran stepped out of the teleportation array and found that there were indeed a lot of professionals from the Shadow Forest gathered around him, talking about the strange phenomenon just now. The monsters in the Shadow Forest died suddenly. The boss's Fear Tree Man went crazy, and finally exploded into pieces. Various abnormal situations, as well as the dark clouds in the sky, red lightning, and the huge phantom that looked like a demon, triggered a series of chain reactions. Some people said that it was the big boss who led the newcomers and cleared the scene. Others said that it was the invasion of the 99th floor demon, and the world was about to end. People at the scene had different opinions. It was said that some high-level professionals in Haicheng were alarmed and were preparing to come over to investigate. Chu Ran listened to a few ears and thought to himself that you guys are really good at making up stories. Demon invasion. I became a demon. One skill scared countless monsters to death. I am obviously the human god of war. Shaking his head, Chu Ran stopped listening to their bragging, walked away a few steps and began to count his gains. Attribute points are not mentioned for the time being, and skills can be seen later. Let's look at the rewards for killing monsters first. Except for team formation, the items dropped by individuals will be automatically picked up regardless of the distance and enter the space backpack brought by the professional. It saves a lot of trouble. Shadow Forest is a level 15 area. Except for the boss, the highest level 20 items can be dropped. If you can have a few high-level equipment, you can sell them in the mall and earn enough for several years of food expenses. Chu Ran, who has been poor in both his previous and current lives, is obsessed with money. He is really afraid of being poor. Chu Ran rubbed his hands and opened his backpack. See what's in it. Black Tree Staff, Silver category. One-handed weapon, wearing requirements, level 10. Strength plus 6. Spirit plus 12. Endurance plus 7. Special effects. Light of Wisdom. Chanting time reduced by U0010. Wood Earth attribute magic damage added by 5%. The first one is a silver level staff. It's okay, it's pretty red. I don't know if my passive 10x drop is effective. Chu Ran pondered in his heart, looking down quickly. Heart of the Fear Treatment Diamond category. Accessory necklace, wearing requirements, level 35. Strength plus 30. Spirit plus 15. Endurance plus 30. Defense plus 35. Luck plus 1. Special effect. Spirit of the Fear Treatment. Greatly increases defense within 30 seconds, immune to mental, poison, and penetration damage. Cooldown time, 180 hours. Chu Ran was delighted. It's shipped. Diamond level accessories, but unfortunately it's defensive, so it's not very useful to me, but it should be quite valuable. Wait a minute, what is the Fear Treatment? The boss of the Shadow Forest. How did it die? Chu Ran realized something was wrong, but then he put it aside. Forget it, it's not important. He continued to look down. After all, this was the highest level 15 area, and most of the equipment was junk and not worth much. But after looking for a few seconds, Chu Ran's eyes lit up. Forest Trolls Club Gold category. One-handed weapon, wearing requirements, level 20. Strength plus 30. Spirit plus 1. Endurance plus 1. Luck minus 1. Features. Crush. Your next attack will be a critical hit, cooldown time 400 hours. This is a godly feature, it will definitely be a critical hit. If the attribute is stacked high, a club will hit someone's head into the cavity. Chu Ran took out the troll club and held it in his hand. The exaggerated black wooden stick looked like a huge chicken leg. He weighed it and found it was heavy and very handy. Chu Ran was very satisfied, and then thought, my attributes should have increased a lot. This stick alone weighs several hundred pounds. I couldn't lift it before. Open the attribute panel. Chu Ran, LV 27. Profession, Abyss Walker, 0 turn. Strength, 70. Spirit, 62. Endurance, 58. Defense, 99. 90% damage reduction in the Abyss. Luck, Infinity passive bonus. Remaining attribute points, 27. You have new skills that have not been checked. Chu Ran looked at his attribute panel, which should be higher than that of the same level. For professionals around level 30, the highest attribute should be around 50 before the first turn, and his highest attribute has reached 99. Although it is a bit inconsistent with the style of the 5S profession, considering his abnormal skills, the attributes are reasonable. Let's see what the new skills are. Chu Ran was full of expectations and clicked to view the skills. Skip the existing ones. The new skills obtained at level 10 and level 20 came into view. Passive. Abyss Gaze. When you gaze into the abyss also gazes at you. Permanently exempt from detection skills, can detect character intelligence. This is a semi-automatic and semi-active skill, a detection skill. In other words, only I can see it, and others are not allowed to see it. Not bad. Another passive skill was refreshed, not a combat skill. Chu Ran was not disappointed, he had already tasted the sweetness of the god-level passive. Very fragrant. He continued to read on. Active skill. Grip of the Abyss. Combat skill. Isn't this coming? Active skill. Abyss grip. Summon the hand of the Abyss and crush the enemy. Cooling time. 50 seconds. The skill introduction is very simple. After reading it, Chu Ran had a rough idea in his mind. His profession has something, and a simple introduction does not necessarily mean it is not strong. For example, the skill of personality shock, just looking at the introduction, who would have thought that this skill that weakens the attribute would clear the shadow forest? The monsters were scared to death, it was simply against the sky. However, Chu Ran thought silently, the reason why personality shock is so awesome should be related to the low level of shadow forest. If I reach a high-level map later, it will be difficult to use this trick to clear the field. It is probably difficult to replicate such a scene today. But Chu Ran is very satisfied. He enjoyed a wave of experience, soared to level 27, and got a backpack of equipment and items. It can be said to be a wave of fat, what else is there to be dissatisfied with? As for the skill of Abyssal Grip, I'd better wait until the next time I kill monsters. If I show it here, I'm afraid I'll attract the commissioner of the Public Security Bureau. Chu Ran decided to go to the mall to sell his unused equipment to improve his life. Just then, someone exclaimed, "The big boss is coming." Before the voice fell, a series of lights broke through the air. 3 high-level professionals with peculiar shapes stepped on the void, full of style. A bald middle-aged man wearing bright silver armor. An old man dressed as a scholar. The last one, a stunning woman in a white wizard robe, was the most eye-catching. Slim waist and long legs, round legs wrapped in white silk, no shoes, feet wrapped in gilded patterns, exuding a stream of light. It's high-level equipment at first glance. The most important thing is that her white wizard robe was almost full, and most of the eyes on the scene were looking at her. Chu Ran also took a look and exclaimed that it was a big sin. It's the big boss of the Knights Association, and the great scholar of the Tiangong organization. This this beautiful woman, is she Lin Lan from the secret society? That genius, the third turn mage. I heard that she awakened the S-level hidden profession in the third turn, and she is already a big boss of the secret society. So many big bosses came to investigate. It's not a small situation. What do you mean not a small situation? The appearance of 3 high-level professionals triggered a discussion. The scene was in chaos. Mr. Shu, are you sure that someone used a skill to cause the anomaly just now? Lin Lan ignored those low-level professionals and looked at the old man next to him. Mr. Shu nodded seriously. My detection skills will not be wrong. Just now, there was a fluctuation caused by a top-level professional. I just don't know what that strong man came to our Haicheng city for. The specific situation needs to be seen in the Shadow Forest. Then let's go. If we meet that person, maybe we can make friends and build relationships. The bald strong man flew to the teleportation array without saying a word. The old man followed closely. Lin Lan's eyes flickered slightly. A top-level professional is at least level 150, a big shot who has reached the 5th level. Usually, you can only see them in the provincial capital, and there is no one in Haicheng. If you can make friends with them. She thought about it and flew to the teleportation array. However, she noticed that many people were looking at her during the flight. This made her look unhappy. A group of stinky toads dared to look at her. Frost Sky Explosion. She raised her hand and released a group attack spell. Countless fist-sized hailstones formed instantly and fell down with crackling sounds. Aroused a scream. Lin Lan smiled coldly, not caring at all, and turned to enter the teleportation array. What's wrong with this woman? Chu Ran was also in the attack range and dodged a few hailstones. His expression was very unhappy. Although his defense attribute was high, this woman was obviously a third-level high-level professional. If he was hit by her skills, he would definitely be injured. At least he would take a bottle of blood recovery medicine. Many unlucky people around who didn't have time to dodge were smashed and had broken bones and muscles, lying down. It would cost a lot of money to treat them. Chu Ran gritted his teeth and thought, isn't she afraid of killing everyone? Lin Lan, right, I'll make a note of this. He turned and left, not wanting to stay for a second. He didn't notice that among the screaming people, there was an acquaintance of his. It was Shu Jin. I'm so unlucky. Shu Jin covered his head, his face full of blood, and said miserably, I was just shocked by the boss, took drugs to prolong my life, and was smashed by the big guy again. A bottle of healing medicine is 20,000 yuan. I didn't get anything, and I spent 40,000 yuan. Forget it, it takes several days to recover naturally, and I can't delay leveling. He endured the pain and took out a prismatic bottle filled with blood-red liquid. Just as he was about to drink it, it was taken away by a hand next to him. It was his brother Bai. Shu Jin's eyes almost popped out. Brother Bai gulped down the healing potion and said coldly, I was also hit just now. Shu Jin was also angry but dared not say anything, and smiled awkwardly, Brother Bai, can you help me level up tomorrow? No time. Brother Bai didn't even look at Shu Jin. Your father only gave me 500,000 to help you for one day. Huh, Shu Jin was stunned and quickly said, but didn't we agree to take me to level 10? Now I'm only level 4. Brother Bai said disdainfully. The shadow forest was cleared by the big guys, who can you blame for this? If you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck. Just as he was about to leave, Shu Jin grabbed his mage robe and said miserably, then Brother Bai, return the money to me. You are only level 4, just return half of it to me. 500,000. If he had known it was so expensive, Shu Jin would have simply waited for his parents to take time to take care of him. And that big guy, he has nothing to do but go to play high-level Abyss, why did he come to the Shadow Forest to clear the field? Isn't this a pitfall for himself? Let go. Brother Bai said impatiently. I have something else to do. No, return the money to me. Shu Jin yelled. The eyes of the people around him gradually looked over. Although they were just hit by hail, many people forgot to cry out in pain because of the excitement. Brother Bai noticed this and became more impatient. He punched Shu Jin in the face. I'll refund your mother. Get out of here. He was more than 20 levels higher than Shu Jin, and his attributes alone were overwhelming. He directly hit Shu Jin so hard that his nose bled and he rolled on the ground. You dare to hit me? You're done. I'm going to tell my dad. Shu Jin howled. Brother Bai heard this and got so angry that he kicked him a few more times, cursing, don't think your dad is awesome just because he's a second-level master. My teacher is a third-level master. If you don't agree, let him come. I'll beat the shit out of him before he's done. 500,000 yuan for running errands, why are you pretending to be a big shot? If I wasn't short of money to buy equipment, would I bother with an idiot like you? Get out of the way. Brother Bai kicked Shu Jin away like a ball. Shu Jin struggled a few times, and he didn't know if he was seriously injured or angry, but his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Haicheng City Trading Mall. At this time, many people have been waiting in front of various trading counters. A large number of healing potions and resistance potions. If you don't go through the trading channel, you can get a small knife. Level 5 bronze equipment is on sale. Buy 2 and get 9.9% off, 3 and get 9.8% off, and a full set and get 10% off. It's a must-have for novices, and the price is favorable. Reinforcement stones. Take a look at the reinforcement stones, 88,800 each, no deception. Take a look at the first-level materials, and you will make a profit if you buy them. Many people shouted directly at the top of their voices. When they saw newbies coming in, they immediately went forward to sell. Although the mall is convenient, it has to charge a certain handling fee after all. Many people simply squatted in the trading hall to solicit customers. The receptionist ladies around have long been accustomed to this and are too lazy to care. After a group is driven away, another group will come. In the era of universal job transfer, who can control this group of people? This trading hall is over 1,000 square meters. It was Chu Ran's first time to come in. He walked around a few more times and was quite curious. There were all kinds of things for sale. There were even people selling skill books in the corner. A middle-aged man stopped a passing newbie and asked, "Brother, do you want to take a look at the skill books? They are all universal skills. Absolutely cheap." The newbie was overjoyed. Skill books are very precious and have a very low drop rate. He immediately asked, "How about taking a look?" "Look." The middle-aged man let go of the light curtain and introduced, "This one, universal skill, lying down. You will get 200 experience points if you lie down every day. Rounding it up, you can turn it over after lying down for a few years without doing anything. Refuse to roll up your sleeves and live a comfortable life. Isn't it good? And this one, universal skill. Start. As long as you use this skill, you will taunt the target 100%, making him unable to help but come to KU. There are many application scenarios, and it is useful for both people and monsters." The newbie widened his eyes and said in horror, "I don't want it." He turned and ran. "What kind of skills are these?" The middle-aged man held out his hand to stop him. "Brother, don't go. I have a general skill book here. It will definitely be useful when you find a partner." After hearing this, the newbie walked faster. Chu Ran, who was listening to the whole process, was also shocked. "You said this guy is unlucky. He can get a skill book, which is a good thing that even his own 10 times explosion rate has not been swiped out. But these skills are too abstract." Chu Ran did not dare to stay any longer, fearing that this old man would stare at him, and left quickly. "Hello, open a trading account for me, I want to sell some goods." Chu Ran came to the trading table and smiled at the receptionist who was slacking off. "Oh, look at the operation process yourself." The young lady responded casually, looked up and saw Chu Ran's handsome face. Her attitude immediately changed, and smiled sweetly. "How about I help you?" It was not easy to meet a handsome guy. She was very enthusiastic and her movements were much faster. Before Chu Ran refused, she helped him settle the account in a few seconds. Our mall is universal. As your level increases and you open a higher level account, you will also get corresponding discounts. The young lady seemed to have a good impression of Chu Ran, and she also said, "If you want to buy and sell items in the official mall, it is recommended that you wait for a transfer before you do so. After all, there is a 10% discount, and the handling fee for selling items is also 10% off, which can save a lot of money." "Thank you, I'll take a look first." Chu Ran responded politely and turned away. "So handsome." The young lady watched Chu Ran walk away, and sighed slightly. Such a young 27th level professional, it would be great if something could happen with him. Forget it, this young and promising handsome guy may be the young master of a family. What am I thinking about here? Come to a secluded corner. Chu Ran operated on the interface that only he could see. 2 options popped up on the black interface. Official Mall. Trading Bank Region. Chu Ran first clicked on the official mall and found the one-click selling option. It can automatically evaluate the value of items and sell a lot of useless equipment and materials in batches. It may be slightly lower than the market price, but it is convenient and fast. Chu Ran sorted the backpack, packed the bronze level and no-level whiteboard equipment, and sold them directly with one click. A sound similar to the money deposited in the mobile phone app in the previous life sounded in my ears, and the account immediately popped up a prompt. "You have received 175,098 blue star coins. A pile of garbage can be sold for nearly 200,000. Chu Ran couldn't help but sigh. Professionals still make money quickly. This amount of money is enough for him to have a good time. But this is not the big deal. Chu Ran opened the trading house region and searched for equipment of the same level. Silver and gold equipment of levels 15 to 30 have always been in high demand and are in short supply. Level 20 silver equipment with slightly better characteristics starts at about 100,000. Gold equipment doubles again, starting at 200,000. As for the platinum equipment, even if it is low level, it can be sold for at least 1 million. Professionals are always willing to spend money on this, especially some big guilds and big families, who have countless money in their hands and are crazy about buying goods. After all, sometimes a good piece of equipment can save your life. Let me think about it. Chu Ran thought about it for a while, and put out more than 10 pieces of silver and gold equipment in his bag at the lowest market price. Except for the troll rod that he was going to keep for himself, and the 2 defensive equipment that he left for Qi Wenxuan, he sold all the others. As for the platinum level, he was a bit unlucky and only got 3 pieces, which he sold at a price of 800,000 each. Finally, the highlight was left. Diamond level. Spirit of the Fearful Treeman. This equipment has awesome characteristics, high attribute bonus, and is a very rare high-level accessory. If it weren't for the overlap of its attributes with his passive, Chu Ran would have wanted to keep it for himself. However, Chu Ran searched the trading house and found that there was no diamond-level equipment for him to compare, and he immediately began to scratch his head. Are there so few diamond-level equipment? There is not a single one in our regional trading house. Chu Ran was speechless. Haicheng City was still too small. If he went to a big city with a national trading house, there would definitely be diamond-level equipment. After thinking about it, Chu Ran shook his head and directly changed the Spirit of the Fearful Treeman to auction mode, with a starting price of 1 million, and threw it into the trading house. After waiting for a few minutes, the silver, gold, and platinum equipment that had been put up were bought one after another. You have received 181,037 Blue Star coins. You have received 172,256 Blue Star coins. You have received 7,314,896 Blue Star coins. You have received. The continuous flow of incoming messages made Chu Ran narrow his eyes. If possible, he really wanted to show off. Thanks for the invitation. I just became a professional, busy making money, and earning nearly 10 million a day. Cool. Chu Ran was happily counting money. A cry of surprise came from the counter of the trading hall. Look at the trading house. Someone has put up a diamond-level equipment. Auction mode, starting at 1 million. Really? Diamond level? Brother, you are not bragging, right? Someone in this small place of Haicheng got a diamond-level equipment, but he doesn't use it, so he sells it. Could it be the equipment eliminated by some big boss? Then it will be transferred to the younger generation, or the young genius in the guild, right? Sell it for money. If those guilds know about it, won't they go crazy for it? What a fuss, you can see it yourself. Many people quickly opened the mall and saw the diamond-level equipment. This attribute is quite high, and it's an accessory. The characteristics are also awesome, immune to several special damages, greatly improved defense, it's simply a magic weapon for squishy skins. A starting bid of 1 million is a bit cheap, who wants to pick up a bargain? Are you stupid, and you still want to pick up a bargain? This news will soon be known to those families and guilds. Wait, I guess they will fight. Everyone started to discuss. Chu Ran heard a noisy voice, and listened carefully. They were discussing the equipment he had put up. A starting bid of 1 million is still cheap. When Chu Ran heard this, his inflated mentality after making a lot of money just now fell. He was still a long way from being a rich man. He needed more training. Someone has made a bid. It's the starting price. It's too much, 150. 200. The few people who had been paying attention to the trading house immediately shouted. Because the speed of the increase in price was too fast. Before the price was finished, someone raised it. Each increase is 500,000, and the momentum is fierce. It must be a fight between the bulls. The professionals in the trading hall quickly opened the panel and watched. Seeing the price change every second, it has been raised to 5 million. Someone said sourly, 5 million, I have to work like a beast to brush the book every day to earn 5 or 6 years, why didn't I brush this artifact? Are you blind? Didn't you see that this is the equipment with the boss prefix? It takes at least a level 40 professional to beat it, what did you brush? Are you eating shit? Come out and fight. The two quarreled on the spot and were about to go out to fight. The rest of the people ignored them and were still watching the price changes. 600, 800, 800. Is this 2 million starting from the beginning? As the price got higher and higher, many saleswomen secretly opened the panel to watch the excitement. After 8 million, the price increase slowed down slightly. But it still rose steadily at the rate of 500,000 per hand. It's over 1,000. 10 million. A single piece of equipment was sold for 10 million, that was several years ago in Haicheng. At the point of 10 million, not many people can follow suit. There are 10 major guilds in Haicheng, countless small guilds, and including the powerful families, it is estimated that only 7 or 8 can make a bid now. The current price has indeed scared away many people. When Chu Ran heard the 10 million, he couldn't help but open the trading panel to take a look. That string of zeros is really dizzying. But when he thought about how he brushed this equipment, Chu Ran couldn't help but slap his forehead and thought, it's over 10 million. What's the difference between it and the money picked up for free? The leveling area is really a good thing, praised the abyss. After a few seconds, the price that had been silent was suddenly raised to a sharp level. 15 million. 5 million in one move. Could it be that the boss of the secret society made a move? It's possible. This level of equipment is suitable for training a first-level wizard. It has awesome characteristics and can be used by the second-level wizard. I shed tears of envy. After a certain rich man called out the price of 15 million, the trading house finally stopped moving. The final transaction information popped up in front of Chu Ran. Listening to the sound effect of the account entry and counting the string of zeros in his balance, Chu Ran was about to laugh. There was no need to listen to the exclamations of the onlookers behind him. Chu Ran opened the trading house and scanned a batch of potions, blood-adding and attribute-adding potions. He scanned several sets of each and spent more than 2 million. Its consumption. After leaving the mall trading hall, Chu Ran was about to contact Qi Wenxuan to help him upgrade. As a result, Qi Wenxuan took the initiative to call him. Hey, Ranzi, where are you? Qi Wenxuan's carefree voice sounded. Chu Ran said, I'm watching the fun at the trading house. Qi Wenxuan screamed, is it the auction of that diamond-level equipment? I just heard about it, 15 million, it's really worth it. If this money is given to me, I will directly buy a few sets of potions, drink one bottle and throw one bottle. It would be so cool to directly confront the abyss monsters. Ah, Chu Ran was speechless, thinking that you are really my good buddy. We are thinking the same thing. Looking at the sets of potions in his backpack, Chu Ran scratched his head and said, Wenxuan, I just have something to find you, where are you? Ah, I have something to find you too. Qi Wenxuan said, let me tell you first, Ranzi, come to the Killer Crab Beach, I have formed a team with complete configurations, including the newbies of No. 3 middle school and a wild wizard. They are short of a warrior, and I just happened to fill in. I said I would bring a buddy with me, so come quickly. Qi Wenxuan said, and cut off the communication directly. Killing Crab Beach. Chu Ran blinked, and was confused. When will Qi Wenxuan's impetuous personality change? That crappy place has only level 5 monsters at the highest. I am already level 27, do I have to rely on passive X10 to get those 10 experience points? Who am I taking advantage of? Forget it, I will explain it to him in person. Chu Ran was speechless for a while, found the nearest teleportation point, and went to the Killing Crab Beach. Killing Crab Beach. Recommended level, 0 to 5 level. Maximum team size, 6 people. Entering the teleportation array, a familiar light flashed. A beach appeared in front of Chu Ran. Looking around, it was full of densely packed heads, almost more than monsters. Kill, kill, kill. I am the god of war of the human race. Monsters do not exist in front of this emperor. Take my crescent moon sky rush. On the beach, various middle school boys were fighting with the crabs as big as millstones. These killer crabs, even if they are elite monsters, are only about level 3. A group of people surrounded a crab and beat it to pieces soon. Some people were not satisfied with killing and started to grab monsters, and accidentally hit others. Do you want to eat oil cakes? Do you want to eat fragrant wings with rice? What is this abstract talk? Don't delay me from killing monsters. Chu Ran walked by and looked at these newbies dancing in a group of demons. He couldn't help but regret why he had to level up so quickly. It's a lot less fun. Chu Ran wanted to join, but his dignity at level 27 didn't allow it. He was already a big boy. Ranzi, hurry, this way. At this time, Qi Wenxuan's unique loud voice rang out. Chu Ran looked in the direction of the voice and saw Qi Wenxuan, who was wearing a rough leather armor, waving at him. There were also several boys and girls standing beside him. Ranzi. Qi Wenxuan raised his fist and hit Chu Ran's chest. Chu Ran's defense was as high as 99, but he couldn't help but feel suffocated, and said speechlessly, are you going to kill me? Qi Wenxuan hugged Chu Ran's shoulders and said, I'm just afraid that you will be upset. What can I be upset about? Chu Ran shook his head and laughed. He knew that Qi Wenxuan was worried about him. He was worried that his awakened profession would not be good, and he would be upset and depressed. It's okay if you are okay. Let me introduce you. Qi Wenxuan pointed at the boys and girls and said, Cheng Zhenyu, from number 3 middle school, B-level priest, Gao Ming, also from No. 3 middle school, B-level assassin. I am also from No. 3 middle school. The last young and beautiful pink-haired girl laughed and said first, my name is Zhou Yaru, B-level profession, bard. She looked at Chu Ran with curiosity. She didn't expect that Qi Wenxuan, a fool, had such a handsome friend. Zhou Yaru blinked and thought to herself, if the profession is not bad, give him a chance to pursue me. Bard, this profession seems to be quite rare. Is it to add buffs? Chu Ran couldn't help but look at Zhou Yaru. Although this is a B-level profession, it is indeed quite rare. Zhou Yaru smiled reservedly. Yes, it is mainly to add buffs to teammates. Brother, what about you? What is your profession? Her enthusiasm for Chu Ran made Gao Ming and Chang Zhenyu very unhappy. Priest Chang Zhenyu hurriedly said, yes, brother, we have said it, what is your profession? Assassin Gao Ming crossed his arms and said, if it weren't for this warrior insisting on taking you, we would have already started leveling. What is your background? Show it. Chu Ran was a little puzzled by the hostility between the two. But he looked at Zhou Yaru with a smile on his face and immediately understood. It turned out to be a little fool. No, it turned out to be a dog licker. Chu Ran didn't want to pay attention to them, and said lazily, I'm just a rubbish profession, and the level hasn't been determined yet. Wenxuan, didn't you tell them? Qi Wenxuan scratched his head and smiled foolishly. I told you, but they didn't believe it. They said there is no level profession. Chu Ran shook his head and was about to pull Qi Wenxuan to the side to explain the situation to him and divide the spoils. At this time, the young mage standing next to him said lightly, it doesn't matter. I will lead you to fight. The warriors will be in the front. Leave it to me to output, and the others can just do nothing. This young man dyed a head of white hair, wore a mage robe, and even bought a staff. It was obvious that he came from a wealthy family. With a smug expression on his face, he walked directly to the place where there were many monsters. This is the wild mage. He is also the one who asked me to join the group. His name is Fang Yi. Qi Wenxuan pulled Chu Ran to introduce secretly. Are you from the Fang family? Chu Ran understood. Among the several major families in Haicheng, the Fang family is ranked first. The warrior is here to pull the monsters. You, the profession, join the group. There will be a bonus if the group is full, and you can also gain experience. Fang Yi waved to Qi Wenxuan, and did not forget to call Chu Ran to join the group. Chu Ran smiled. This kid is not a bad person, but a little arrogant. Then he said, I won't join the group. One less person to gain experience can help you level up faster. Hurry up and join the group. Fang Yi sent a team invitation to Chu Ran without saying anything. As a wizard, he is of course the team leader. Okay. Chu Ran had no choice but to hide his information and click to join the team. Priest Chang Zhenyu immediately opened the panel, took a look, and said sarcastically, brother, why did you hide the information? Let us see the level profession. Gao Ming pouted and said, isn't it a ? Now? Hiding information shows a question mark. Tisk, I thought it was some rare profession, but you dare not show it. It seems to be a rubbish profession. Chang Zhenyu shook his head and directly gave Qi Wenxuan a continuous treatment. What are you doing? The wizard is calling you to pull monsters. Zhou Yaru, who was originally very enthusiastic about Chu Ran, also lost interest. With a bad profession, he was not even qualified to be her licker. She raised her hand and brushed the defense buff for several people, but missed Chu Ran. She also said in a coquettish way, oh, my spiritual attribute is not high, I can only brush these few at most. Anyway, you are not working hard, it should be okay, right? Qi Wenxuan's face was not very good. These people are obviously targeting their buddies. He turned to Chu Ran and said, Ran Zi, let's not be annoyed. I'll take you to level up. We'll fight one by one. If we work hard today, we can level up 3 to 4 levels. Chu Ran was amused by these people and said, forget it, isn't this interesting? Go and help that little wizard pull monsters. After saying that, he pushed Qi Wenxuan. Qi Wenxuan showed a guilty expression, thinking that Chu Ran was forcing himself to endure it because of his face. Little did he know that Chu Ran really didn't mean that. It's also nice to watch these 0-level newbies perform face changing. Your team killed. Killer crab. After judgment, level suppression, experience decay. Abyss proxy judgment takes effect, experience gained, 10. Suddenly, Chu Ran received experience credited. Looking up, it was Fang Yi who waved the staff and ran to kill the monster himself. Qi Wenxuan also noticed that Fang Yi was fighting monsters, and said helplessly, I can't let the wild wizard down. I'm going to pull a wave of monsters. Ranzi, wait a minute. I'll take you to another place later. Go ahead. Chu Ran nodded. After Qi Wenxuan left, the assassin Gao Ming looked at Chu Ran with disdain. Brother ? It's so cool to stand here and get experience for free. Do you have to bring us training fees? Did you kill monsters? Chu Ran glanced at him. The mage didn't say anything. What can you, an assassin, shout? We are all lying here and getting experience. Who is looking down on whom? Chu Ran smiled. You. Gao Ming's face turned black, and then he gritted his teeth and said, I am a combat profession, how can I not be better than you? Right. Chu Ran said. You are stubborn and you were right. You are so shameless. Zhou Yaru rolled her eyes and said to the two licking dogs, hurry up and pull monsters, I have an appointment with my bestie to do hair together in the afternoon, don't waste time with garbage professions. Xiaoru, don't worry, I'll go right away. Gao Ming was refreshed and ran out immediately. Cheng Zhenyu was not to be outdone, I'll definitely make it so you can catch up with your hair. After saying that, he rushed out, a priest. Zhou Yaru stood there with a smile on her face, admiring her manicure. It's comfortable to have a liquor. Chu Ran couldn't help but be speechless. Hairdressing. Don't do it in the hotel, right? Looking at the two lickers who were working with their butts sticking up, Chu Ran sighed, it's my duty to be a licker. At least I feel involved. Then, seeing that Qi Wenxuan was having a hard time pulling the monsters, Chu Ran remained calm, staring at the killer crabs, and secretly released a position shock. I made a big noise before, probably because I released too many skills at once. Now I only release it once, rub it, it's okay, right? As a result, as soon as the skill was released, the killer crabs in front of Qi Wenxuan died instantly, turning their bellies upside down and spitting bubbles. Chu Ran. Hey, Qi Wenxuan was also confused. He finally pulled 5 killer crabs, how come he died? Fang Yi also came over and blinked his eyes and said, there is experience credited, did you kill them? No, these monsters died suddenly. Qi Wenxuan quickly denied. If he could kill these killer crabs in seconds, would it be necessary to form a team to let Chu Ran suffer? Strange. Fang Yi muttered, and then said, forget it, I'm level 3, you should have upgraded too, right? Let's go fight high-level monsters. He pointed to the direction of the sparsely populated beach. There is a fish monster nest over there, most of them are level 5 monsters, our configuration combination just needs to be careful, and we can kill them at will. Okay, Qi Wenxuan has now upgraded to level 2, and after adding 2 points of defense attributes, he said to Chu Ran, Ranzi is leaving. Tisk. Chu Ran was about to take a step, and suddenly a voice came from behind. Zhou Yaru blew on her nails and said deliberately, some people are really lucky. They have bad jobs, but they can still get into the magician team to drive. You are not bad either. Chu Ran turned his head and said, didn't someone want to drive your car this afternoon? But your two licking dogs don't seem to know. Zhou Yaru's face turned black. What are you talking about? I warn you not to talk nonsense. She snorted coldly and quickly overtook Chu Ran, as if she wanted to get close to Fang Yi. The two licking dogs also hurriedly chased after her. Chu Ran walked over slowly, looked at the 3 figures in front, and sighed, these 2 guys are miserable. They want to use the public car for private purposes. Isn't this nonsense? Come to the fish monster's nest. A prompt popped up. Fish monster's nest. Recommended level, 5 to 10. Some monster spawning areas are connected, such as the killer crab beach and the fish monster's nest, which is basically a one-stop upgrade for newbies. After killing the killer crab, take a shortcut to swipe the fish monster. As long as you don't go deep into the elite and boss, it's basically okay to get experience from the periphery. These are all experiences summarized by predecessors. This is too stinky. Zhou Yaru looked at the sticky fish monster nest everywhere, and said in her heart, Master, let's hurry up, okay. I'm a girl who will be scared to stay here. Fang Yi is very straight, and said coldly, "You can leave if you are afraid. Anyway, we have warriors, and the bard is useless." Jo Yaru was embarrassed. Fortunately, the two licking dogs hurried to comfort her. "Don't be afraid, Xiaoru, I'm here, I will protect you." The assassin Gao Ming immediately expressed his feelings. The priest Cheng Zhenyu also said, "He can't, I can heal, and I will definitely not let you get hurt." Jo Yaru looked at the two with disdain, thinking, "You are too tactless. I'm flirting with the wizard, can you shut up?" But she still said patiently, Yeah, you are really awesome. There are a few fish monsters ahead. At this time, Fang Yi stopped and clenched his staff and said, "Warrior, I will lead them over, you hold them, is it okay?" Qi Wenxuan showed off his muscles. "No problem, you open the monsters." "Priest, stop licking." Fang Yi waved his staff, gathered a wind blade without chanting, and cursed, "Pay attention to blood." Swoosh. The wind blade was fired instantly and hit the back of a fish monster. The fish monster was a black humanoid monster nearly 2 meters tall, with hands and feet, and a huge fish head that was very dull. Fang Yi's wind blade hit a fish monster, and immediately alarmed the others to rush over together. Roar! 3 fish monsters rushed over. All of them were level 5 monsters. Qi Wenxuan felt a little pressure, shouted in a deep voice, and activated his skills. Fearless Charge. Causes certain damage to enemies on the path, stuns the target enemy for 3 seconds. Bang, bang, bang. He pushed away 2 fish monsters, stunning the fish monster that Fang Yi had attacked. Fang Yi immediately began to chant, "Wind Spirit, answer my call, let the wind destroy the enemy." Wrath of the Wind. A whistling tornado blew out from the top of the staff. It instantly engulfed the body of the fish monster and cut it into many pieces. Advanced output skills. So rich, worthy of being the young master of the Fang family. Jo Yaru's eyes lit up. Generally, new professionals will not awaken too strong output skills, even for mages. Almost some basic output magic such as water ball bombs, fireballs, wind blades, etc. But Fang Yi's Wrath of the Wind obviously took a magic skill book in advance. That price is not cheap. Brother Mage is so awesome. I admire you so much. Jo Yaru's tone became even more charming, so coquettish that it was sickening, and her eyes were about to tear. Fang Yi ignored her and stared at the other 2 fish monsters that pounced on Qi Wenxuan. He threw out the wind blades without chanting one after another, hitting a fish monster that screamed continuously and turned its head to kill the mage first. "Where are you running?" Qi Wenxuan's big hand full of explosive muscles grabbed its fins and forcibly pulled it back. "Well done, warrior, hold on, kill this one now." Fang Yi's movements became faster, and with a few whooshes, he chopped the fish monster to death. Chu Ran nodded repeatedly watching from the side. This little mage was brave enough and smart, and he cooperated well with Qi Wenxuan. After killing 2 fish monsters in a row, Fang Yi couldn't help laughing and said to the last fish monster, "There is only this one left. You can reach level 5 after killing it. Priest, hurry up and restore the warrior to the state. If you keep paddling, I will kill you." Priest Cheng Zhenyu was startled and immediately threw his healing skills to Qi Wenxuan. Seeing that the 3 fish monsters were about to fall, a piercing roar suddenly came from the mouth of the last fish monster. Several people were shocked and had tinnitus. The wind blade that Fang Yi had just condensed was also shaken away. He was stunned for a moment and quickly looked at the fish monster. His face changed drastically. This is not a small monster, this is a fish monster priest. It is summoning the fish monster king. Kill it, kill it. Fang Yi hurriedly finished the knife. But it was still too late. A terrifying sound of footsteps came quickly from the depths of the nest. In the darkness, a 3 or 4 meter high hideous fish head drilled out, opened its mouth, and let out a terrifying roar. Fish Monster King. Looking at the sharp teeth in the fish head's mouth that were bigger than his head, Fang Yi's face turned pale. "You run first, I have a trump card, this is a level 15 boss." The professionals in the 3rd middle school were all scared. Jo Yaru shivered a few times, and seeing the huge fish head approaching, she glanced and pointed at Chu Ran and said, "Hurry up and throw him over." "Hurry up." The 2 licking dogs also reacted. "That's right. Use this trash profession as a stepping stone first to buy time to escape." The 2 were about to move, but Chu Ran frowned. "What does it mean, feed me to the fish?" "Idiot." Chu Ran pushed the two people away, walked directly to the fish head, pulled Qi Wenxuan back, and threw him next to Fang Yi. Everyone, move back, I'm going to show off. You are looking for death. Fang Yi shouted. Qi Wenxuan's eyes widened even more. He didn't have time to think about how Chu Ran had so much strength, and shouted, Ran, come back. Chu Ran had already faced the big fish head, and a chicken leg-shaped giant stick appeared in his hand. Staring at the two dull fish eyes, Chu Ran's eyes seemed to reflect the abyss. Status shock, activated. Crushing characteristics, activated. Smash the fish head with a stick. As if the sky collapsed and the earth split. The huge fish head deformed and twisted on the spot. It exploded with a bang. It turned into a sky full of blood and flesh fireworks. Fang Yi. Ga. Qi Wenxuan. What the hell? Chu Ran froze. Looking at the empty scene in front of him, he was embarrassed for a moment. He didn't expect that this boss was so hard to beat. Well, Chu Ran put away the stick, coughed and said, as a question mark level profession, it is normal for my attack power to be a little higher, right? Chapter 11. Ranzi, what happened? Did you kill the boss? Qi Wenxuan shouted at the top of his lungs. His expression was extremely shocked. It seems that he no longer recognizes his brother. I originally wanted to explain this to you later. You wait until I think about how to make it up. Chu Ran scratched his head. He had no intention of hiding this from Qi Wenxuan. However, Qi Wenxuan didn't care about that and exclaimed, my buddy is so awesome. He was sincerely happy for Chu Ran. Fang Yi grabbed his white hair and said with a broken expression, this is a level 15 boss, you can't wait for seconds. Zhou Yaru and her two licking dogs were now pale with fear. I thought I was mocking a loser, but I actually offended a big boss. Who can withstand this? At this time, Fang Yi couldn't help but said, the damage of the weapon you just made was too high. It should be a weapon with no level characteristics, right? Where did you get it from? The young master of the Fang family is well informed and can see that the chicken drumstick is a special weapon, and it is also a rare item with no level. The so-called non-level refers to a small top-notch product with extremely low explosion rate. Regardless of the level of use, most new professionals from rich families can only afford it. The unleveled equipment produced on advanced maps is rarer than diamond-level equipment. It is very useful for juniors to spend their novice days. Chu Ran smiled and said, I picked it up from the Shadow Forest. He didn't lie either. I activated a skill myself, and without even looking at what the monster looked like, I just swiped a backpack full of stuff. Wasn't it just something I picked up? Shadow Forest. Picked it up. Fang Yi showed a surprised expression. I heard that something happened in the Shadow Forest. A big boss cleared the area and wiped out all the monsters in the entire map. That map is a high level for us, and it is a novice village for the big boss. The equipment that was spawned is all rubbish, you just threw it away because you didn't want to take up the backpack, right? You're quite lucky. Fang Yi didn't necessarily question Chu Ran. However, he heard Qi Wenxuan say that Chu Ran had just awakened his profession today. How could he be a high-level professional? I subconsciously thought of a reasonable explanation. Shadow Forest elite monsters can drop level 20 equipment. If there is no level and the characteristics are powerful, it is quite reasonable to have a level 15 boss in seconds. Qi Wenxuan's eyes widened and he said, of course, you just ran into the Shadow Forest. How dangerous that place is. Chu Ran glanced at Fang Yi. This little mage was quite good at thinking. He didn't bother to explain, and said, isn't this just trying my luck? It's okay, I'm not bad luck. Not bad at all. It almost exploded. Question mark, your output is too harsh. Before level 20, you were invincible against monsters. Let's add a communication and fix the group in the future. Fang Yi also came over. Qi Wenxuan was unhappy. My buddy's name is Chu Ran, what a question mark. Okay, Chu Ran, let's add a communication person and a soldier. The three of us will form a team and we will definitely kill each other. Fang Yi nodded and immediately changed his mind. Qi Wenxuan was satisfied and added him as a friend first. Chu Ran didn't refuse either. As for whether we want to clear monsters together in the future, most likely not. I am already level 27, and I have to quickly get to level 30 for a change. Apart from helping Qi Wenxuan to upgrade, he would never come back to Novice Village. But seeing that the little mage was on the right track, Chu Ran decided to help him if it was easy. Don't hit the smiling person with your hand. However, Chu Ran still asked, speaking of which, you, the young master of the Fang family, still need to find a group to practice by yourself. In this novice stage, the Fang family must not give you a one-stop service. The core members of big families and big guilds are trained in one step and brought to level 30 for job transfer. It is rare for someone like Fang Yi to be self-reliant. Looking at him wearing a complete mage uniform, he doesn't look like he is not favored at home. As expected, Fang Yi said with an arrogant look on his face, I'm not the kind of loser who just lies around and gains experience. I can beat him myself, so why should I rely on others to guide me? Okay, there is potential. Chu Ran raised his thumb. Qi Wenxuan also nodded and said, yes, everyone has changed their jobs, and you still have to rely on people for help for everything. That's really a waste. Chu Ran looked at Qi Wenxuan, a little embarrassed. Brother, what are our conditions? Why do you have sympathy with a young master? Are they the same thing as not having that condition and not using it if there are conditions? However, seeing that Qi Wenxuan and Fang Yi were quite angry, Chu Ran didn't say much. I thought it was a big shot, but it turned out to be shit luck. Just when the atmosphere gradually became harmonious, an unharmonious murmur sounded. Chu Ran turned around and saw Zhou Yaru. He tilted his head and asked, what do you mean about me? Zhou Yaru thought she had offended a big boss just now, and she almost died of fright. As a result, I listened to the whole process. I found out that this guy was just lucky. He caught up with a big boss to clear the shadow forest and picked up some unwanted equipment. What's so awesome about that? Isn't it still a waste profession? Zhou Yaru snorted and said, what's wrong with you? Don't think that you can be ahead if you pick up a good piece of equipment. If you're not professional, you won't be able to defeat high-level monsters after level 20. She also said to Fang Yi, brother master, don't let him fool you. This kind of person may be a dog skin plaster. If you get entangled, you can't get rid of it. Yes, master, please don't form a permanent group with this kind of person. Why don't you find us? The two licking dogs echoed. Fang Yi glanced at them and said coldly, except for the priest, who is of some use, the other two are pure trash. Why do they force me to do anything? His output is high enough and he is more violent than me. He can survive the early stage to the first turn. If you change your destiny against the will of heaven, you can't even keep up with me in leveling up. Get away and don't be an eyesore here. Zhou Yaru was a little embarrassed. When had I ever been so humiliated by a man? She snorted coldly and said, if you don't know the heart of a good person, let's go. After saying that, he turned around and wanted to leave. Wait a minute. At this time, Chu Ran said lazily, did I let you go? Zhou Yaru stopped and turned back to glare at Chu Ran. What else do you want? Just now you wanted to throw me out to feed the fish heads, but the debt hasn't been settled yet. Chu Ran clenched his fists, and the chicken drumstick appeared in his hand again, and said with a ferocious smile, I won't bully you either. Now the boss is being I'm done. You three don't quit the group. Go kill 20 fish monsters, let me and my brother enjoy a wave of experience, and this matter is over. 20 fish monsters. Zhou Yaru's face turned pale. Are you sick? That's a level 5 monster. What if something happens to me? She didn't even mention the other two, she just thought about herself. Chu Ran sneered. Why didn't you think about this when you asked others to feed the fish? Zhou Yaru gritted her teeth and said, are you a man? Why are you so stingy? Besides, you have this ability, what's wrong with helping me? I didn't kill you. What the hell are you talking about? Now you can either go away and kill monsters, or you can take a stick from me. It's your choice. Chu Ran said directly. 20, if one is missing, I will let you never have to do your hair again. Seeing that chicken leg and big stick, Zhou Yaru finally gave up. The fish monster king was smashed to pieces with a stick. With her small body, wouldn't she die if she got hit by him? She had no choice but to reluctantly walk to the nest. The two licking dogs also followed, shivering. Seeing her dawdling, Chu Ran kicked her on the butt, which was quite elastic. Hurry up, where are you at the booth? Zhou Yaru's expression was aggrieved, and she dared not speak out in anger. She stepped on a lot of mucus after just 2 steps, and the smell made her want to die. She screamed, you two, Come here and help. The two licking dogs were just about to get closer. You two stand back a little and let her pull the monsters by herself. Chu Ran weighed the chicken drumstick in his hand and warned the two licking dogs not to think about hard licking. The two immediately fell in love. When Fang Yi saw this, he immediately imitated Chu Ran and gave a thumbs up. Brother, top torture, you know how to take revenge. Jia Niangs are not well-intentioned and deserve what they deserve. Qi Wenxuan spat. It is ridiculous to expect a few newbies in the team to kill 20 fish monsters. A bard who can only add buffs, a priest with little combat power, and an assassin who can only stab ass. These three people together are simply a crippled combination. Killing monsters with heads. Zhou Yaru took great effort to pull two fish monsters back. She was chased and had no choice but to jump into the stinky mucus. She collapsed and screamed on the spot. The two fish monsters didn't care about that. They rushed over and prepared to tear the female creature apart. Gao Ming and Cheng Zhenyu used all their strength to help share the pressure. The three were in a mess. They almost lost their lives. In the end, Fang Yi couldn't bear it, so he pulled a fish monster away and killed it, and quickly killed another one, saying coldly, "Free trash." After being interrupted by Fang Yi, Chu Ran also waved his hand boredly, "Quit the group and get out." The three were pardoned. Quit the group immediately. Zhou Yaru was still soaked in the mucus, her whole body was wet and exuding a fishy smell. She cried, "Hurry up and save me." The two lickers hesitated for a moment. As soon as they approached, they were almost vomited by the fumes. The mucus was the excrement of the fish monster, and there was some gastric juice and food residue, which was piled together and was simply unbearable to smell. Zhou Yaru was covered with it, and the stench was overwhelming. The two lickers calmed down a lot instantly. They felt that the goddess seemed to be just that. However, based on their friendship as classmates, they endured the nausea and pulled Zhou Yaru out. They dragged her away and ran away in disgrace. "Brother, you don't mind me meddling in your business, right?" After the three of them left, Fang Yi looked at Chu Ran. Chu Ran said calmly, "It was originally to teach them a lesson, it doesn't matter, we won't meet them again in the future." Fang Yi nodded and said, "That's right, we may not meet them in the future. If you are unhappy, I will spread the word later and guarantee that no one in the novice area will dare to team up with them." Chu Ran looked at Fang Yi. "I didn't expect you to be so cruel. If I didn't want to get my hands dirty, I would have killed that kind of scum directly. Besides, our Fang family still has some face." Fang Yi snorted coldly, and then said, "Brother, I just killed the fish monster king. I'm level 5. Let's go to the Shadow Forest." After saying this, he noticed that Chu Ran had a strange expression, and immediately remembered, "I almost forgot that the Shadow Forest was cleared by the big guys. It will take a few days to recover. So what do we say now, continue to kill the fish monsters?" He looked at Chu Ran and Qi Wenxuan. Qi Wenxuan shrugged. "I'm fine, listen to Ranzi." Chu Ran thought for a moment and said, "Don't think about it, I'll stay here with you guys for a while, I have something to do later." Fang Yi said, "I understand, your leveless characteristic weapon is too awesome, it's no problem to go to the map starting at level 10, the leveling speed must be very fast, but don't worry, I can catch up in the next 2 days, then we can arrange other maps." Chu Ran smiled slightly and didn't say much. He turned around and initiated a transaction with Qi Wenxuan. "Ranzi, what are you doing?" Qi Wenxuan's eyes widened. Chu Ran frowned and said, "Don't waste time, I'll give you something." Fang Yi heard this and walked away 2 steps very sensibly. Qi Wenxuan was confused, and after accepting the transaction, he saw those things and his eyes widened immediately. "Don't yell, keep it for yourself." Chu Ran shook his head. He gave Qi Wenxuan several sets of high-level healing medicines and some potions that increase attributes. In addition, there are 2 pieces of equipment that warriors can use. Qi Wenxuan looked at it several times, and wanted to ask Chu Ran what was going on. Because Fang Yi was present, he could only suppress his doubts. "Let's go, kill the monsters." Chu Ran patted Qi Wenxuan's shoulder. The 3 of them were very efficient in killing monsters. In just over 20 minutes, Fang Yi and Qi Wenxuan reached level 8 one after another. There was no benefit in killing the fish monster's nest, so Chu Ran stopped and said, "Wenxuan, little mage, I'm going to do something else first, see you later." "Ranzi, what are you doing?" Qi Wenxuan was still a little slow to react. Fang Yi said, "Okay, you do yours, we'll contact each other later." Chu Ran smiled, this little mage has a high EQ. Let's not talk about anything else. He definitely found that his level was wrong. After all, there is a light effect when upgrading. He accompanied them to kill for a long time, but he didn't upgrade by one level. Only Qi Wenxuan, a fool, couldn't see the problem. After Chu Ran left, Fang Yi showed an unfathomable expression and said to Qi Wenxuan, "Warrior, your friend is very strong. I guess you are going to be rich." "You mean?" Qi Wenxuan heard this and responded, "Of course, my brother can be bad. He will definitely be successful." He looked at the several sets of potions lying in his backpack, as well as those valuable equipment, and scratched the back of his head. He smiled innocently. Fang Yi hugged Qi Wenxuan's shoulders in a familiar manner. He was much shorter than Qi Wenxuan, and he could barely reach him by standing on tiptoe. He smiled and said, "Come on, accompany me to brush the sand scorpion later. It's a level 15 monster. We can definitely deal with it." Qi Wenxuan came back to his senses and said firmly, "All right. I can't fall behind too much." Fang Yi was stunned. Looking at Qi Wenxuan, he couldn't figure out whether this guy was really stupid or pretending to be stupid. After saying goodbye to Qi Wenxuan and Fang Yi, Chu Ran came to the teleportation array again. But this time he changed his outfit. He changed into an ordinary black jacket and wore a black fish scale mask on his face, revealing only his eyes. Fish monster leather mask. Type, head facial equipment, level requirement, 6. Want to do something bad? Just put it on. After all, the power of his skills is erratic. In order to prevent any major trouble, he should change his outfit a little. Standing in front of the teleportation array, Chu Ran was choosing his next target and sighed in his heart, Wenxuan is quite face-conscious. I guess he is embarrassed to let me take him. There is no way. As his old father, I have to care about his son's future and understand his mental health. No matter how hard it is, I can't let my child suffer. I can only suffer myself and give him more good things in preparation. He could see it. Qi Wenxuan didn't want to be a drag, so he was pretending to be stupid. So Chu Ran didn't reveal it. Anyway, his mentality has changed now. What's so difficult about upgrading? I can still raise Qi Wenxuan by making some money in advance. I have already taken off, how can I still lack a few pieces of equipment from my buddy? That doesn't make sense. I only need 3 levels to change my job, where should I go this time? Chu Ran's eyes wandered between several areas, and finally fixed on the center. He nodded and walked over. This is it. Death Desert Core Zone recommended level, 25 to 40. Maximum team size, 25 people. Boss, Sand Scorpion King level 20 has not been refreshed. Boss, Death Sandworm level 25 has not been refreshed. Boss, Desert Death level 45 has been refreshed. Chu Ran glanced at the area introduction and stepped directly into the teleportation array. After the light flashes, he came to a vast desert. The Death Desert is a multi-area leveling point, divided into 3 locations, periphery, middle area, and core. The core area is the leveling point for those above level 25 and those who have become a professional. The outer and middle areas are good places for low-level professionals to transition. Brother, why don't you join a group? Before Chu Ran could appreciate the scenery of the Death Desert, someone came over and said, the professional team is all veterans, the speed is absolutely amazing, we also have a fixed spot to spawn monsters. Fixed monster spawning spot. Chu Ran picked at the blackfish scale mask and said amusedly, what's so fixed about this monster spawning spot? Doesn't it belong to whoever spawns monsters? The man was wearing a warrior's leather armor and had a hammer hanging from his waist. As soon as he heard Chu Ran's words, he immediately showed an understanding expression. Brother, is this your first time to come to the advanced monster spawning spot? The rules here are different from those in Novice Village. Every monster spawning spot is circled. It's either a powerful small group, or it's the territory of a big family or a big guild. If you're lucky, you'll run into us when you land. If you land on a big guild's territory, you'll have to ask for money to kill monsters. Do you still need money to kill monsters? Good guy, are you a country bandit and a road hog? Chu Ran was shocked. He had never heard of such operation before. If you encircle the area where monsters are spawned and charge a fee, wouldn't that be like plucking your hair? How is it different from highway robbery? That's all this stuff is about. Seizing the mouth of a mud swallow and sharpening an iron tip. How do you think those big families and big guilds got their wealth? It's dark inside. The wild warrior curled his lips and looked at Chu Ran again. Initiated an invitation. Brother, you don't seem to understand the rules. Please join our small guild. It will have all the benefits. There are no mandatory activities in normal times. Occasionally, if you are short of people for leveling, you can still join us. Chu Ran couldn't help but smile. What this guy says is quite interesting. However, Chu Ran still shook his head and refused. I'll see for myself first. I have no idea of joining a guild for the time being. The wild warrior didn't force it, and pointed to the road. You can go forward from this road. There are more wild teams over there, and there are some small guilds recruiting new people. At least they won't stop you from spawning monsters. You can talk a lot. Quote. Okay, thank you. Chu Ran thanked him and walked in that direction. The old warrior sighed. He is another ambitious newbie, I don't know how long he will last. In an era when everyone is changing jobs, society is more cruel than ever. There are families, guilds, mountains, and various small groups and circles. How can it be so easy to be a lone ranger? Chu Ran walked for 6 or 7 minutes and saw a small market with various brands standing side by side. Someone is looking for someone to form a team. There are also, as the soldiers said, recruiting new ones there. Those who dare to come to the core area of the Death Desert must be at least over 20 levels, which can be regarded as a selected group, suitable for each guild to absorb new people. The Brotherhood is recruiting people, come assassins, shooters. The places are limited, the treatment will be preferential, first come, first served. Shanghai Pavilion is recruiting for life-related professions, please don't bother anyone below sea level. Sell potions, sell potions. Is there any boss who can help me level up? What's your profession? My D-level profession. Fishing guy, why the hell doesn't there even be a pond? Brother, how did you get to this level? The noisy sound made Chu Ran feel a little dizzy. After rejecting several group invitations and invitations to join a guild, Chu Ran saw a stall selling desert maps. He walked over curiously and said, you also sell Death Desert maps here? What kind of maps are there? Let me take a look. Generally, there is no need for a map in the monster spawning area. Unless it is a very complex secret realm that requires people to open up wasteland, the map is valuable. If you dare to sell maps here, you must have something. Behind the stall, there was a girl with wheat-colored skin who was dressed coolly and was lying there counting sand. She raised her eyelids and said lazily, 5,000 blue star coins each, don't look at it if you don't want to buy it. Chu Ran has never seen such an awesome seller. However, he was considered a wealthy man now. He looked directly at the account on the wooden sign next to him, crossed 5,000 blue star coins over it, and said, take out the things and let me inspect them. After receiving the account prompt, the girl's attitude changed obviously. She sat up straight and said with a smile, wait. Then he immediately took out a tattered blueprint from the bag. Pass it to Chu Ran. Chu Ran lowered his head and looked. What do you mean? The girl said, the map. Chu Ran pointed at the torn piece of paper. Are you using this thing to fool people? Are you trying to trick fools? The girl snorted coldly and said, don't underestimate this piece of paper. Do you think this map is for you to mark the route in the desert of death? That fool won't be fooled. She spread the torn paper on the table and said, see, there are valuable things here. I saw that the map was marked with spheres of influence one after another. Wherever the land was circled by the big guilds and where the monster spawning points were occupied by the big families, they were all clearly written on it. Even some small groups with good strength have been marked out. Chu Ran picked up the map and saw that the families occupying this place were the Lin family and the Huo family. These two families basically occupied 1/3 of the area. The guild was the Secret Law Society. As a full magic guild, they occupied another 1/3 of the Death Desert. The rest of the place was densely occupied by those small guilds and small groups. Good guy, you are an intelligence worker. Chu Ran glanced at the girl and looked at her in surprise. The girl touched her nose and said proudly, is this 5,000 worth it? Chu Ran did not comment. Whether it is worth it or not depends on everyone's understanding. However, this map does have something. At least, some newbies who know nothing can buy a copy and will definitely be able to avoid the scope of those big forces and not be fooled. I don't have much demand for it, but it would be convenient to know some information in advance. By the way, are you new here? Is it your first time in the Death Desert? At this time, the girl asked another question and blinked. Almost. Chu Ran reached out and rolled up the tattered map. He put it away in his backpack. What you spend money on cannot be wasted. Hey, Mengxin, I have a good business that I want to introduce to you. Do you want to hear it? The girl with wheat-colored skin rubbed her hands and said with a smile, I will definitely make you a lot of money. Huh, good business. Just you. Chu Ran looked around. Only the girl's stall was the shabbiest. Even those small groups that recruited people temporarily had at least sand tents. A broken table, a chair, and a wooden sign were placed in front of the girl. It should be all the belongings. What's that look in your eyes? The girl said angrily, those are all just a face-saving project. Do you understand what it means to spend money on the handle of the knife, the back of the knife, the blade? She pinched her waist, and her height of about 1.5 meters was not impressive. The slender waist and abdomen look very powerful, and he should be a combat professional. The little thief is fooling the newcomer again. At this time, a woman dressed as a priest came over and looked at Chu Ran with a smile. Newcomer, don't be deceived by her. This little thief has a brain problem. He keeps shouting that there is a hidden area in the desert of death and wants to find treasures. Quote, this low-level abyss has been swept away by the big guys a long time ago. If there is a hidden area, is it still your turn? After the female priest finished speaking, she winked at Chu Ran. Brother newcomer, we are going to fight the desert god of death. What is your profession? Do you want to come together? Push the desert death god. Chu Ran looked at the female priest. It looks like he must be a former professional. If you want to fight the desert death god, you need at least a team of level 40 professionals, which is 25 people. This woman is not low level. Chu Ran sighed with emotion. He was indeed the goalkeeper of the high-level map. There were high-level professionals everywhere. TCH, you are a desert god of death. Aren't you just acting as a trustee for those big guilds and big families? You tricked Mengxin into collecting protection money, and you are not allowed to leave without paying the money. You also lured the boss to seek wealth and death. Disgusting, disgusting. The thief girl spat. He directly exposed the other party's background. The female priest's face darkened and she also cursed. You little fool, you broke the rules. Do you still want to hang out in Haicheng in the future? Don't think that just because you have a sister who has joined a big guild, you dare to talk nonsense. You will break the rules again next time. What a good thing, I'll tear your mouth apart. The thief girl was too lazy to pay attention to her, turned to Chu Ran and said, Mengxin, let's go. She put away the tables and chairs, dragged Chu Ran and set out on the road lightly. Hey, let me tell you, what does it have to do with me? Where are we going? Chu Ran was stunned. What is this all about? When the female pastor saw her target slipping away, she gritted her teeth and said, I was cut off by this little fool again, the fat sheep who waited so hard for me. After observing for a long time, she saw that Chu Ran spent 5,000 blue star coins to buy the thief girl's broken map, so she knew that this must be a wild professional with some wealth. After all, professionals with backgrounds go to their own areas to level up. I won't hang out here either. I won't even buy any maps. The cooked duck flew away and she was in a bad mood. Staring at the two people's retreating figures, the female pastor couldn't swallow her breath and immediately opened the team channel. I found a fat sheep and was taken away by a little fool. I'll send you the coordinates. Sister May, what a fat sheep are you? Are you going to do your job? Someone responded quickly. The so-called old business is to directly start robbing. More than 100 years ago, this kind of fighting, snatching equipment, and blue star coins happened repeatedly. But now it is basically strictly prohibited by major guilds and families. And today's professional routes are becoming more and more standardized. Most of the newbies are poor and have little to gain. At most, Yan Guo plucks its feathers and collects protection fees, and that's it. You can spend 5,000 blue star coins to buy that little fool map. How fat do you think it is? After the female pastor finished speaking, she said impatiently, whether you want to go or not, just a word. Go, I must go. Count me in. Is this coordinate close to the Lin family's territory? Are you not afraid of being discovered by the Lin family? It's not a big problem. It's just to generate income for the Lin family, but the boss failed and a newbie died. Can the Lin family still investigate? It's okay if Mengxin dies. That little fool's sister is a reserve member of the Provincial Capital Guild. The Thief of Heaven Guild is not easy to deal with. Harm, how can the Grand Guild take care of such a trivial matter? At worst, let her go and give her some benefits. These people are doing grey business. Recruit people to the areas circled by major families and guilds, and then the big forces collect money, and they get some kickbacks. Occasionally there will be a miss. After all, the boss doesn't have eyesight, let alone hold back. Chu Ran had no idea at this time. He was being targeted as a fat sheep. I said, what are you going to do? After walking far away, Chu Ran shook off the thief girl's hand and said helplessly, I don't have time to argue with you, I still have to level up. The thief girl said, I will take you to level up. The monster spawning points here are all circled by people. If you are accidentally caught by someone, you will definitely be blackmailed. At this time, there are many leveling points available. Come on, I will show you the way. After she finished speaking, she wanted to pull Chu Ran and continue walking. Chu Ran stepped aside and said, I'm warning you, if you have something to say, don't make any fuss. I'm not familiar with you. Immediately, he looked at her with curiosity. What was the situation that the female priest was talking about just now? Are you looking for a new area in the desert of death? Are you also looking for treasure? You don't believe it. The thief girl looked sideways at Chu Ran. It seemed that if Chu Ran dared to say she didn't believe it, she would strike hard. Chu Ran smiled, shook his head and said, whether I believe it or not, that doesn't matter, right? Besides, if you want to hunt for treasures, you should find a senior professional to cooperate. What are you doing with me, a newcomer? I don't have time to chat with you anyway, bye. After saying that, Chu Ran raised his legs and left. The thief girl rolled her eyes and sighed, okay, don't leave yet. The worst I can do is refund the map money to you. Chu Ran stopped, turned around and said, then transfer my account. Who can have trouble with money? You are more greedy for money than me. The thief girl has never seen such a shameless person. But she still gritted her teeth and returned the 5,000 blue star coins to Chu Ran, and then said, it's not that I don't want to cooperate with high-level professionals. There are level restrictions in that area. You can only enter after one turn of level 30, and you must start from get the key props from the desert god of death. So I can only find those new people who are bold and have dreams to do big things together, make a lot of money, and create. Don't go. There are a lot of treasures in that place. Let's go 3 to 7, I'll go 3 to 7, and you'll go 3 to 3. The big deal is 4 or 6. Let's discuss it again. Before the thief girl finished speaking, her eyes almost popped out when she saw Chu Ran's fast steps. Can't go, I'm not interested, don't get involved. Farewell. Chu Ran waved his hand and ignored her at all. Access level 30, still have to go to the desert death. There is obviously a pit here. Only a fool would go. Bang! There was a loud noise deep in the desert. A sand wolf several meters high fell to the ground, stirring up yellow sand all over the sky. Chu Ran was carrying a big stick with chicken legs, and his body was flashing with upgraded light effects. He looked at the message that popped up. You killed Desert Wolf. Judged to be an over-level killing of monsters. Abyss acting judgment takes effect, gain experience. You have upgraded. Upgraded again. Before Chu Ran could open his panel, an exclamation came from behind him. The thief girl was stunned, patted her cheek, and her voice changed tone. You are not passive with experience bonus, are you? How long has it been since you upgraded to 2 levels in a row? Also, this is a level 30 elite monster. You beat it to death with a stick. The thief girl's scalp was numb. Where is this newbie? This is obviously a giant crocodile that sneaked into the pond. Why are you still following me? Chu Ran was speechless. From now on, the thief girl has been following behind. There seems to be some serious illness. The thief girl said pitifully. Do you think it's so easy for newbies to squat now? I've been squatting like you for a few months. Brother, listen to my advice, let's not upgrade now, okay? Follow me and do it big business. No time. Chu Ran turned around and opened his panel. Chu Ran, LV, 29. Occupation, Abyss Walker, 0 turn. Strength, 79 plus 30. Spirit, 69 plus 1. Endurance, 62 plus 1. Defense, 108. Abyss reduces damage by 90%. Lucky, Infinity -1. Remaining attribute points, 29. When I saw my panel properties, I found that there was a plus sign at the end. It's probably the effect of being equipped with a big drumstick. Currently, I am level 29, my highest naked defense attribute is over 100, and I still have 29 attribute points in my hand. Chu Ran briefly thought about it for a while, and evenly focused on the 3 attributes of strength, spirit, and endurance. The professional's attribute panel is a multi-dimensional attribute. Strength also includes the so-called attack power, agility, speed, etc. The spirit represents magic power, abnormal resistance, magic attack power, and the speed of guided chanting. Endurance is a series of attributes such as physical fitness, vitality, physical fitness, etc. Defense is very simple, as long as non-penetrating attacks are included. His defense attribute is the highest, indicating that his growth direction is related to defense. And coupled with the damage reduction of the abyss, this attribute is basically enough. Just cultivate other attributes in a balanced way. After adding points, Chu Ran, LV 29. Occupation, Abyss Walker, 0 turn. Strength, 89 plus 30. Spirit, 79 plus 1. Endurance, 71 plus 1. Defense, 108. Abyss reduces damage by 90%. Lucky, Infinity -1. Remaining attribute points, 0. My current panel has become very abnormal. Coupled with the weapon's power of over 100, and the blessing of weapon characteristics, if I knock it down with a stick, even the elite monsters will kneel down. Chu Ran nodded with satisfaction. The most important thing is not the attribute improvement. But he discovered that his weapon characteristics could also be passively affected by the abyss acting. Within the abyss, there is no CD or consumption when releasing skills. Simply put, the chicken drumstick in his hand has its own crushing properties and critical hits, which can also be used unlimitedly. Isn't this invincible? Chu Ran became more and more attracted to chicken legs and big sticks. Immediately, Chu Ran shook his head and said, I have to quickly reach level 30, take the scholarship and learn new skills, and take a look at what my job transfer task is. After waking up for one day, he changed jobs directly. Who else but him? Delightful. Just when Chu Ran was about to go to the next place to find elite monsters and kill them. The thief girl finally couldn't help it anymore. Brother. No, eldest brother, you are my eldest brother's head office. How about we split the money 50-50? Just accompany me. She almost cried. According to Chu Ran's upgrade speed, I'm afraid it will exceed level 30 soon. The access restrictions are there. Only at level 30 can you enter the hidden area in one turn. She really had no choice. 55. Chu Ran looked at her sideways. Who gets 50%? Of course you get 50%. The thief girl replied subconsciously, and then her beautiful eyes widened. No, you are sick, right? It's 50%. Does it matter who gets 50%? Isn't it important? Chu Ran smiled. That's really not important. Don't follow me. I won't go. He lifted his legs and left. Continue deeper into the desert. Seeing this, the thief girl quickly said, if we go further, we will reach the range of activities of the desert god of death. And this is the territory of the Lin family. If you run into Lin family professionals, they will arrest you and move bricks. She followed Chu Ran step by step. Desert god of death. Don't let me catch it. Let's masturbate it together. Chu Ran smiled coldly when he heard this. Although the name gave him a strong sense of déjà vu. Every time I read it, a dog's head appears in front of my eyes. If it's really that thing, its stick seems pretty strong. When Chu Ran looked at the big chicken drum stick in his hand, he suddenly felt proud. My stick may not be strong. Up the road, climb over the sand dunes. Occasionally encountering mobs around level 25, Chu Ran would kill them in seconds. I also gained a lot of experience. However, the experience required for level 29 to 30 is a bit exaggerated. Even after Abyss Agent X10, there is still a long way to go before level 30. Can only be described as a few bites of dessert. While he was thinking about it, Chu Ran felt the ground beneath his feet shaking. Tiny bits of gravel danced wildly. There seems to be a big movement ahead. Chu Ran stopped. The thief girl behind her didn't know what she was thinking of. She lay down and listened for a while, then her face changed drastically. Someone is really killing the desert death. It can't be someone from the Lin family, right? The words have not yet finished. Behind the sand dunes a few hundred meters away, a deep purple light suddenly appeared. The skills and light effects of countless professionals are mixed in it. It seemed like the fight was quite intense. The thief girl was speechless and said, I asked why there is no one in the Lin family area. It turns out that they are attacking the boss. What a bad luck. She suggested, how about we take a detour? At this time, Chu Ran touched his chin and began to think deeply. The girl glanced at him and said with a slowly frightened expression, Brother, dear brother, what are you thinking about? Chu Ran asked, do you think it is possible for the desert god of death to drop equipment higher than diamond level? I don't know. I've never fought before. The thief girl said. Run away quickly, boss, I beg you. Chu Ran waved his hand. We human professionals help each other and fight against the abyss. Everyone has a responsibility. Now that I see an abyss monster bullying my compatriots, how can I ignore it? Let's go and grab it. Cough, let's go and see. The horrible shock was accompanied by a series of explosions. Ah! A monster with a dog head and a human body, all black, holding a huge scepter, roared to the sky. The strong wind pressure swept all around. This dog-head monster, which was more than 10 meters tall, was very oppressive just standing there. The next second, it waved its scepter. The purple stream of light ignited the sand like a flame, and a fire several meters high rose up. This is the desert death god. The strongest boss in the death desert. Run! How did you pull the desert death god? Is it done by the professionals of the Lin family? That's too cruel. Isn't it just that they didn't give us the money to spawn monsters? Do you want to take our lives? A group of professionals cried and shouted, and on the way to escape, they threw out various skills, trying to delay the pace of the desert death god. But it didn't hurt the desert death god, and it could only make it roar. The scepter fell, and the purple flames ignited the surroundings. A few unlucky ones were almost killed on the spot. The fire blocked the escape route. A few high-level professionals stood on the sand dunes in the distance to watch the fun. Occasionally, they would seduce the desert death god. Using high-damage skills or taunting skills, they would pull it to change its route and chase those people. A man in a wizard robe smiled and said, Sister May, although we didn't catch the fat sheep, we should be able to get a lot of money from these people by blackmailing them. At first, the female priest who was resentful of Chu Ran was among them because she failed to invite Chu Ran. She said casually, whatever, what can we get in the Lin family's territory? We have to share the money with them after the job is done, and we just make hard-earned money. It's my fault, too slow, I didn't find the fat sheep. Another archer dressed in black and carrying a big bow smiled and said in an ambiguous tone, Sister May, next time, I will definitely compensate you next time. Go away. The female priest raised her eyebrows and looked at the professional who had been pulling monsters. This is the front row of their team. A level 45 first turn berserker with taunting skills. Don't pull the Desert Reaper to our side. Seeing the position of the Desert Reaper getting closer and closer, the female priest reminded him. The berserker nodded and said, It's not the first time I pull the boss, how can I make such a low-level mistake? You should also keep an eye on it. If anyone lets go, add blood in time to save the person. After that, he adjusted his position. Continue to contain the Desert Reaper and let it chase those professionals over level 30. This kind of work is not the first time they have done it. Everyone is familiar with it. Find leaks in the territory of the big family and collect protection fees first. If you don't pay, pull the boss over to chase and kill. Some sensible ones will immediately admit their mistakes and pay the money. As for those hard bones, anyway, there are so many professionals who died in the hands of the boss. One more is not much, one less is not much, who cares? As long as they don't take action themselves and are not caught with evidence, there will be no problem at all. All give, help me, all give. At this time, someone couldn't stand the pressure and screamed. Choose to spend money to buy life. Wouldn't it be over if it was done earlier? The female priest Meiji rolled her eyes. Raising her hand, the healing spell of white light enveloped him and extended his life. The mage also released a mage's hand and pulled the man over from a distance. The professional was almost scared to piss his pants. After paying the money, he left in a hurry. He's a poor guy, but he only scraped out more than 200,000. The mage who was responsible for collecting the money was also a mage. He shook his head and said, "It seems that all work in vain today." The archer said, "Not bad. After cutting all these leaks and sharing the money with the Lin family, at least there will be more than 100,000 left. Isn't this more comfortable than working hard to kill monsters yourself?" "That's true." The mage smiled. At the same time, Chu Ran climbed over the sand dunes and saw the crazy desert death god at a glance. Good fellow, what a dog head. He widened his eyes. Then he looked at the group of professionals being hunted. Isn't this a little different from what he thought? I thought someone was killing the boss. This is a ghost who fled in a panic. Aren't they feeding the boss lunch? It's that group of rubbish, they are cheating people again. The thief girl pointed to a sand dune in the distance and gritted her teeth and said, "It's because of these idiots that the death desert is almost stinking." Chu Ran soon noticed those people. The root of the desert death god was obviously controlled by them. Aren't you afraid of turning over if you play like this? Not to mention that the boss slipped away and affected themselves. If there is any mistake, all the professionals below will die. This is reality, not a real game. If you are killed by a monster, you will really die. The same is true for the fights between professionals. Chu Ran frowned and said, "What if someone dies? No one cares about this." The thief girl shook her head and said, "Who cares? This is the territory of a big family. They came here secretly to kill monsters without paying. Even if the Lin family knew about it, they would still deal with them. This group of scum is like the Lin family's thugs, helping to find loopholes and fill in the gaps. After scraping the money, they will share the account and earn a handling fee. This kind of thing is not uncommon. It has always been like this." After saying that, the thief girl stood on tiptoe and patted Chu Ran. "Brother, let's go. This is the society now. The strong prey on the weak. It's good enough to take care of yourself and stay out of other people's business. If you are targeted by them, it will be troublesome." She reached out to pull Chu Ran. Chu Ran hesitated a little. In his 2 lives, he has lived for more than 30 years. He is indeed not a nosy person. After all, good people may not be rewarded. Chu Ran was stunned and was pulled back by the girl. "I'm going to die. Look at that idiot. If it weren't for the sand, his front teeth would have been knocked out, right?" Suddenly, a laugh broke out from the sand dune in the distance. The archer laughed out loud, pointing at a professional who fell down after being chased by the boss and said, "You still call him a professional? You can't stand up after turning around. Didn't your mother teach you how to walk? Waste. Saving him is a waste of time, just let him die." The female priest also laughed a few times and shrugged her shoulders. That was a young man dressed as a scholar. Although he turned around, his attributes were not high. At this time, he rolled and crawled, trying to stand up. Even screaming, "Help me, please help me, please." The professionals around him turned a blind eye and ran away frantically. If you can't run away, you will die. If you admit your weakness, you will be blackmailed. Whoever stands at this time is an idiot. Seeing the desert death god catch up with him, swinging his scepter to smash him to death. The sky suddenly darkened. Boundless shadows gradually enveloped the surroundings. Several high-level professionals on the sand dunes felt a little strange. The female priest subconsciously raised her head. Then he immediately widened his eyes. What the hell? A giant hand as deep as obsidian and covered with golden flowing lines appeared above their heads. At the end of the arm, there was a dark purple black hole. Only a section of the forearm was exposed, and the dark giant hand had already covered the area. The desert death god raised his head slightly stiffly, his expression was distorted, and he made a whining sound. The next second, It was held by the giant hand and rose from the ground. Compared with the giant hand, the 10-meter-tall body was too small. It was like a quail being pinched by someone. Behind another sand dune, Chu Ran raised his right hand and kept it in a hollow grip. The thief girl behind him opened her mouth wide. Saliva flowed down the corners of her mouth, but she didn't notice it. Chu Ran kept clenching his palms, and the giant hand moved synchronously with him. Bang! The desert death god in the giant hand broke his bones and muscles, and blood exploded all over the sky, like a rain. You killed Desert Death. The moment the prompt popped up, Chu Ran turned his arm. The giant hand rolled up the wind and aimed at the group of stunned senior professionals. No one cares about this. Then I will. The giant hand slapped down. Boom. The sand dune was flattened on the spot. You killed Desert Death. Judged as a level-up monster kill, experience bonus. Abyss proxy judgment takes effect, gain experience. You leveled up. Gained new skills. Level reached 30. Job transfer task started. The light of the upgrade flashed. Message after message. Chu Ran didn't have time to look carefully. After opening the grip of the abyss, the summoned hand of the abyss was a bit too powerful. It crushed the desert death and slapped those high-level professionals to death. The result was not over yet. The air stagnated for a few seconds. A loud noise suddenly came. The entire death desert seemed to be shaken. The terrifying wind pressure blew the thief girl over several times and rolled on the ground. She barely supported her body, shielded her eyes with her arms, and shouted, "Brother, what skill is this?" As soon as she opened her mouth, she ate a mouthful of sand. Chu Ran didn't say anything because she found that the giant hand was still pushing down. The sand dunes under my feet were visibly decreasing. It seemed to be flowing over there. Sand sinkhole. Chu Ran immediately understood what was going on. The giant hand collapsed that area. The surrounding sand was flowing along the gap. When the skill of Abyss Grip disappears, I'm afraid there will be another sinkhole immediately. Chu Ran shouted to the professionals who escaped the disaster, "Why don't you yo-yo quickly?" The group of professionals reacted and thanked him. Then they ran for their lives. The scholar who was saved by Chu Ran shouted, "Boss, I will definitely repay you." Chu Ran waved his hand. "If you don't want to die, get out of here quickly." The scholar immediately ran away, turned his head several times and secretly wiped away his tears. After the violent storm, the thief girl barely got up and said, "Brother, I thought you were bragging, did you really kill the desert death god?" She looked at Chu Ran with shocked eyes. "You are not a 5th level boss who came to the low-level map to pretend to be a newbie, right?" After all, Chu Ran covered his face with a fish scale mask. It really fits the style of a boss pretending to be a newbie. Chu Ran opened his message prompt and looked at it for a few times, and said strangely, "By the way, the new area you were looking for is called the Desert Royal Tomb." "Huh, how did you know?" The thief girl's eyes lit up. "Brother, are you finally willing to believe me?" Chu Ran did not answer, but just stared at the content in the message prompt. Discovered a new area. Desert Royal Tomb. Not swept. It has been determined that it has reached level 30, and the first level mission is open. Materials. Abyss Breath Fragments, 500. Main task, explore the Imperial Mausoleum. Key items. Obtain the Spirit of the Desert Emperor. Difficulty coefficient. SSS. SSS difficulty, explore the Desert Imperial Mausoleum. Let me kill the Desert Emperor. Wait, the Desert Emperor is out. What is this sense of déjà vu? Chu Ran pondered in his heart, and then began to think about when he found the Desert Imperial Mausoleum. The information prompt will not be false. Then there is only one possibility. Looking at the giant hand that fell from the sky. I am afraid that this slap will open the coffin of the Desert Emperor. May the deceased rest in peace, no intention to disturb. Boss, pay attention to me. The thief girl waved her hand in front of Chu Ran. Chu Ran came back to his senses and frowned, "What for? Do you want to explore the Desert Imperial Mausoleum with me?" The thief girl asked expectantly. Chu Ran said, "I'm a 5th rank boss, right? Why would I want to go to the Desert Imperial Tomb?" The thief girl smiled slyly and said, "There are access restrictions only when you go through the main gate. You slapped the Imperial Tomb out with your slap. Why don't we just go down and take a look?" "She's not a fool," Seeing Chu Ran's strange expression, she guessed that he must have received a prompt. There are prompts for discovering new areas. That giant hand that slapped directly into the desert. I'm afraid that the slap pulled out something incredible. I still didn't escape in the end. Isn't this a bummer? Chu Ran thought to himself that he had refused so firmly before. Could it be that it was really fragrant? There was no way. The first rank quest was refreshed here. I had to go even if I didn't want to. Chu Ran shook his head and said, I'll go down by myself, don't follow me. No, I won't cause you any trouble. Don't worry. The thief girl said, if you encounter any danger, just go directly, don't worry about me, if I die, it's my own fault. While talking, the skill of Abyss Grip has disappeared. The surrounding sand flows very fast, and in the blink of an eye it rushed to the big pit over there. Chu Ran said directly, let's talk about it when we can catch up. After saying that, he jumped up. At the same time, he equipped the chicken leg club. The power of breaking 100 made him ignore the quicksand, and rushed to the deep pit in a few steps. Then he jumped in. So reckless, the thief girl complained. She didn't dare to be so brave, so she could only be careful and use her own way to go down. Sliding down along the quicksand, the two of them entered the area of the Desert Royal Mausoleum one after the other. This place is hundreds of meters deep into the ground. If Chu Ran hadn't accidentally opened it with the Abyss Grip, it would be really hard to find. After landing, Chu Ran immediately observed his surroundings. The yellow sand is still flowing down from the top of the head, but there is much less at the bottom. The ground is covered with a layer of fine sand. This was originally supposed to be a corridor. There are some strange murals carved on the surrounding walls. The upper part has completely collapsed. It was shattered by his own slap. Further ahead, there is a giant door made entirely of gold. It is visually estimated to be at least 20 meters high. In front of the door stands a sculpture of the desert god of death, which is more than 10 meters tall. As soon as he saw the statue of the desert god of death, Chu Ran reacted in time, I killed a boss and haven't seen the drop yet. He opened his backpack to examine the new items. The authority of the desert death god, legendary level, no level restriction, type, single two-handed weapon. Strength plus 7.5, Spirit plus 100, Endurance plus 4.5, Lucky plus 2. Characteristics: manipulating life and death, causing the designated target parties to change their status, including but not limited to gains and debuffs, with a cooling time of 365 days. Holy shit, it's shipped. Seeing the first piece of equipment, Chu Ran wanted to slap his thigh. Legendary quality, no levels, and this feature. Abyss takes over this passive role, it's so good. Boss, look at that golden door. We're rich. At this time, the thief girl also rushed over. She stared at the golden door, her eyes widened, and her saliva drooled all over the floor. Chu Ran couldn't help but glance at her and said seriously, my child, you should broaden your horizons to avoid being deceived in the future. The thief girl suddenly smiled. The boss taught me a lesson. She doesn't know. Under the mask, Chu Ran's mouth was almost twisted with joy. Compared to legendary quality unleveled equipment, Golden Gate is a dur. Is it comfortable to brush equipment? Obviously not. Happy. Chu Ran was also worried. This 20-meter high golden door is by no means a decoration. It looks seamless. There isn't even a door lock. How to open it? Seeing Chu Ran's thoughtful look, the thief girl next to her blinked and said, Boss, are you thinking about how to open this door? Have you discovered all this? Chu Ran glanced at her. If you have any work to do, hurry up. The thief girl rubbed her hands and said, I'm not alive. After all, if you want to open this door with brute force, even the strength attribute of a top level 5 professional is enough, but I know how to open it. Boss, if you kill the desert god of death, you should get special items, right? She asked expectantly. The special props of the desert death god are the key to opening the door. It was a white object. Someone had used it before, but after using it for a while, they didn't find any use for it and sold it as garbage. However, the thief girl has been studying the desert royal tomb for some time. Others don't believe that there are unexplored areas in the desert of death. Only she believed it firmly and found a secret entrance. So she knew exactly what the conditions were for opening the door. Special props. Let me take a look. Chu Ran checked his backpack again. I'm not sure either. According to his observations, the passive 10-fold explosion rate of Abyss Agent does not increase the number of items dropped by 10 times. Instead, the probability of delivering good goods increases tenfold. A boss like the Desert Death God drops dozens of pieces of garbage, but they are not as valuable as a piece of legendary equipment. The legendary level doesn't just drop. Chu Ran was worried that all the 10 times the explosion rate would be realized by equipment drops. What if all the special props were lost? My own job transfer mission was completed in the Desert Imperial Tomb. Now that I can't even get through the gate, am I going to go out alone and call the Desert Emperor out? Good thing. What worried him didn't happen. Chu Ran saw something in the pile of white items. Fragments of ancient dead souls. Effect. Unknown. Is this the thing? A broken gray crystal appeared on Chu Ran's hand. The thief girl's eyes lit up and she couldn't help but nod. Yes, yes, yes. Chu Ran didn't talk nonsense and walked towards the golden door with the broken crystal. Get closer to about 10 steps. The crystal in his hand shook. Then he escaped by himself and flew towards the door. A jingle. Crystal is integrated into the door. The next second, the ground rumbled and trembled. The golden door has 2 doors, opening to the inside. A white jade staircase was revealed, pointing directly to the golden throne at the end. Above the throne, a huge black coffin floated in the air. Discovered. Desert Imperial Tomb Core Area. Exploring the Desert Imperial Tomb completed. Please obtain key props as soon as possible to complete the job change. Chu Ran looked at the coffin and received a message at the same time, reminding him that he had finished exploring the real Imperial Tomb. Is the Imperial Mausoleum so big? It's too shameless. This Desert Emperor must be a poor man, right? Chu Ran picked at his mask. The thief girl on the side said speechlessly, Boss, don't you know how we got down here? Breaking into the Imperial Mausoleum through the regular route will cover a larger area and will definitely lead to danger at every step. If we take a shortcut here, it's like stealing a house. That means you are lucky, boss. If it had been anyone else, even if they used forbidden spell level skills to bombard the Death Desert, they might not be able to reach here. But other top professionals are not so free either. After some explanation, the girl took out a small glass bottle. It was filled with bright green dust. Chu Ran always felt that he was being scolded, but he had no evidence. Then he looked at the glass bottle. What are you going to do? The thief girl pointed forward. Thieves are similar to assassins. They play with caution. I will use the apparition dust to explore the path. She pushed the dust in the glass bottle forward. Green smoke exploded and spread out. Chu Ran saw that the bottle of apparition dust had been blown away, and thought that this was still a little rich woman. Detection items that can reveal all secret mechanisms are definitely not cheap. Trading houses all sell by the gram. Seeing that the white jade stairs in front of her were clean and without anything, the thief girl took a deep breath and said, It's okay, it's okay. I knew there wouldn't be any problems on this last section of the road. Why, boss, wait for me. Before she finished speaking, she saw Chu Ran lifting his legs and walking up, and quickly followed him. I couldn't hide my excitement all the way. With the reward of the first exploration, we are really going to make a fortune. As a thief, her biggest hobby is treasure hunting and exploration. Arriving in front of the golden throne, Chu Ran looked up at the huge coffin and said, as the Desert Emperor inside. The thief girl had already rushed towards the throne, banging and banging on it, with currency symbols reflected in her eyes. Hearing this question, she said casually, It should be so, but the boss in this new area will not wake up immediately, unless someone is skilled enough to open the boss. The words have not yet finished. Chu Ran has already released his newly learned skills. Abyss Annihilation left. The left eye of the King of the Abyss reflects the rise and fall of all things. Destroy everything you see. Chu Ran's left eye turned dark purple, and the terrifying power was released, hitting the black coffin directly. With a crack, the coffin cracked on the spot. The next second, it turned into debris all over the sky. The thief girl, _D no. Boss, you threw the Desert Emperor's coffin. She was shocked, looking at the flying debris, most of which turned into black powder and fell to the ground. Bang! An unidentified object fell directly. It was a dry skeleton, which fell right on the golden throne. On the skull, there was a bright and dazzling golden gem. The girl lying next to the golden throne was so scared that her face turned pale and she stepped back repeatedly. Chu Ran looked over immediately. Special item. Desert Emperor's Spirit. Contains the power left behind by the Desert Emperor when he ascended. So easy. Is this also called SSS level difficulty? Chu Ran saw the job transfer item right in front of him, and immediately reached out to take it. But at this time, the dark eye holes on the skull suddenly lit up. It was like two golden flames suddenly bounced up. A deep and hoarse voice echoed in the mausoleum. Dead Desert, your emperor. He's back. The rumbling sound made the entire mausoleum tremble. Countless yellow sand fell in strands. The high platform under her feet also began to shake, and the girl struggled to stand firm, and her heart was very broken. I'm really going to die this time. That's the Desert Emperor. If he is fully revived, the 5th level boss may not be able to solo, right? The thief girl was ready to close her eyes and wait for death. As a result, she heard a loud noise immediately. She quickly opened her eyes. She found that the golden throne had completely disappeared and turned into gold powder all over the ground. Along with it, most of the skeleton's body disappeared. Gulp. The skull, without support, rolled to Chu Ran's feet. The golden flames in the eye sockets kept jumping, and the two bones opened and closed. Abyss, why? Crack. Chu Ran crushed the skull with one foot, interrupting its words. Then he looked left and right, with a strange look on his face. The Desert Emperor is back. Where is he? The thief girl's face froze. She was silent for several seconds. She looked down at the broken bones. Opening parenthesis dot, underscore. Noticing her look, Chu Ran moved his feet, took out the golden gem and held it in his hand, and said in surprise, "Is this thing the Desert Emperor?" The thief girl nodded woodenly. If nothing unexpected happens, it is it. That's nothing to be proud of. I thought it was a real boss. Chu Ran was speechless. No wonder I didn't receive a kill notification. It turned out to be just a show. At this moment, the notification of the completion of the job transfer task has popped up. First job transfer task, SSS level. Explore the Desert Emperor's tomb completed. Abyss breath fragments, 500 completed. Spirit of the Desert Emperor completed. All 3 conditions have been met. Abyss breath fragments, this thing is an item dropped by elite monsters. Chu Ran had finished collecting wool from the Shadow Forest, and he got a lot of it. He knew it was a special material, so he kept it in advance. As for the Spirit of the Desert Emperor, it was the golden gem in his hand. Conditions met. Do you want to start the first job? 2 messages flashed before his eyes. Chu Ran did not hesitate and immediately chose to change his job. After all this time, it was just for the first job. What else is there to wait for? With a click, the golden gem in his hand immediately broke into pieces. Streams of light composed of golden light particles revolved around him. 500 fragments of the abyss disappeared at the same time. Boss, what skill did you use just now? You turned the golden throne into gold powder. This skill is very convenient. Do you want to use it on the golden gate as well? Let's move all the gold away. The thief girl returned to her original intention at this moment and studied the pile of golden powder. As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly felt that the surroundings became much brighter. Turning her head, she saw Chu Ran covered by a huge beam of light. Is this a job change? She was so shocked that she couldn't open her eyes. She said, "Aren't you a 5th job boss? You're a 6th job here." Boss, just shut up, it's boring. I never said I was a 5th job. Chu Ran shook his head in the light. A few seconds passed, and the light gradually shrank until it disappeared. Ding! The first job change is completed. Affected by the passive Lord of the Abyss, the current route has been fixed. Profession: Abyss Messenger. You have grown from an Abyss agent to an Abyss Messenger. Exercise the authority of the Abyss. The status shock is upgraded to the Abyss Kingship. Effect 1. All Abyss creatures with a lower status than you will be greatly weakened. Effect 2. Initiate shock to Abyss units above Elite, conduct mental judgment, and enslave the opponent. Abyss Messenger. Chu Ran didn't expect that his job change was actually fixed. Looking at the passive of Lord of the Abyss that has not been activated for the time being, Chu Ran knows from the prompt just now that this passive affects his job transfer route. constant as the current route. In other words, he is going to run further and further on the road of villain. Boss, you are not in the first transfer, right? The thief girl saw that the job transfer was over, and couldn't help but come over. I just thought about it carefully, it seems that it is indeed not right. If you are a 5th transfer high-level professional, you should not have experience in brushing those monsters. But you have leveled up several levels in front of me, you are definitely a newbie. No, if you are a newbie, those high-level professionals will commit suicide. She has never seen such a situation, and said carefully, Boss, tell me secretly, are you an S-level hidden profession? I don't mean anything else, I'm just curious. Don't ask about social things. Chu Ran pressed her face and pushed her away. Then he walked to the pile of gold powder and searched. The thief girl looked envious, but didn't dare to say anything. After all, these were Chu Ran's spoils of war. However, Chu Ran collected half of them, and then turned to look at her. What are you doing? Don't you want to take anything? The girl was stunned, and said embarrassedly, there's still my share. Didn't we agree to split it 50-50? Besides, these are all picked up for free, and everyone who sees it can get a share. Chu Ran deliberately left her half. In this era, gold is still valuable, but it has long been replaced by some mysterious metals. But if the quantity is large, it can still be sold for some money. When the thief girl collected that part of the gold fragments, Chu Ran jumped down the steps and smashed the golden door with a glare. Abyss Annihilation, this skill is very useful. Wherever you look, it will explode, and whoever you glare at will ascend to heaven. It is simply an offensive skill, coupled with your own status deterrence. Oh no, it is now called the Abyss Kingship. The combination of the two is simply a mowing artifact and a guarantee for leveling up. But it can only be used in the Abyss field. These invincible skills have CD and consumption outside. Unless you become a top professional, you'd better not be too ostentatious. After smashing the golden gate, the two searched again and confirmed that there were no other treasures in the mausoleum. The thief girl reluctantly said, Boss, can you add a contact number? She was afraid that Chu Ran would misunderstand. Don't worry, I will never harass you if I have nothing to do. Even if there is any new discovery in the future, I will find you to hug my thighs. We will split it 30-70. This time you will take 70 and I will take 30. Chu Ran smiled and said, okay, add a contact number. But he still hid his information. The thief girl didn't ask much. After all, she could see that Chu Ran covered his face because he didn't want people to know his identity, and it was normal to hide information. But she still published her information. Chu Ran took a look. Mu Qingwan. The name doesn't look like your style. The thief girl said embarrassedly, my sister changed my name. I used to be Mu Aocean. Chu Ran. Forget it, I have something to do, so I'll go back first. Chu Ran said directly, reverse teleport, you go first. When there is no danger around, it is fastest to start reverse teleport and leave. Mu Qingwan was very obedient. Goodbye, boss. Then he started reverse teleport and slipped away. After she left, Chu Ran did not leave immediately, but looked at the top of the Imperial Mausoleum. The Death Desert is almost becoming a leak field for those big guilds and big families. There are a lot of cancerous tumors lying there sucking blood, it's a mess. I am the god of war of the human race, I must help the place. Chu Ran took out Mu Qingwan's map and compared it. This is probably the territory of the Lin family, right? Then, his left eye became deep and purple, raised his head and drew a circle with his eyes, and then started the reverse transmission. Boom! The core area of the Death Desert. Suddenly it shook. What's going on? Earthquake? No, it's a sand trap. Such a large-scale sand trap. Did it collapse underneath? Many professionals were shocked. The yellow sand rolled all over the sky, but it did not cause any casualties. After all, the professionals who can come here are all good, and the sand trap can't kill them. When a large group of professionals fled to a safe place, they looked back and saw a scene that made them stunned. A large piece of the core area of the Death Desert was missing out of nowhere, turning it into a bottomless abyss. Such a big thing happened in the Desert of Death. It soon attracted the investigation of senior professionals. Many level 3 senior professionals were confused when they saw this scene. The Desert of Death is an area that has been swept away, and no changes have occurred for many years. It's really weird that this kind of thing has no beginning and no end. Looking at the large abyss, a man riding a giant bloody wolf said in a deep voice, only the Lin family area was damaged. What about other places? There are no changes in other places for the time being. The core area of the Death Desert is jointly managed by the Lin family, the Huo family, and the Mystic Society. The Lin family's area disappeared directly, while the areas of the Huo family and the Mystical Society were not affected much. The man riding the bloody wolf shook his head and said, maybe some top professionals are here to teach the Lin family a lesson. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, the Lin family is here. One after another, silhouettes broke through the sky and descended. The leader was none other than Lin Lan, who was wearing a white mage robe and had a voluptuous figure. She looked into the abyss and said with a livid face, who did it? Several senior professionals did not speak. Lin Lan may not be as strong as them. But this woman is not only the genius of the Lin family, but also a genius cultivated by the Secret Magic Society. She has a deep background and is not easy to mess with. A scholar said, Lin Lan, calm down first. There are traces of top professionals here, and it cannot be done by locals from Haicheng. Top professionals should start at least level 5. Haicheng has none. The suspicion of all forces was basically eliminated. Unless someone is willing to pay a huge price to ask that kind of boss to deal with the Lin family. But what's the point? Destroying a leak field in the Lin family would not hurt the Lin family. At most, it would disgust them. However, asking a top level 5 professional to take action will cost at least hundreds of millions of blue star coins, and it also depends on their mood. With this kind of money, one can directly kill the core members of the Lin family, and killing the family leader is not without discussion. A top professional again. After listening to the scholar's words, Lin Lan's expression softened slightly, and he gritted his teeth and said, not long ago, the Shadow Forest just captured the fluctuations of top professionals. How long has it been? Another one has come to the Death Desert. When did the top professionals become so worthless? Are you still going to a small place like Haicheng? The man riding the giant wolf said, the top professionals are all giants. They can do whatever they want and do whatever they want. Can you restrain them? What's more, this big boss might be the same person who caused trouble in the Shadow Forest. Then it's even more strange. Such a strong person doesn't sit at the entrances of the abyss everywhere, but comes to Haicheng to spawn mobs so casually. And directly destroys the terrain. Let's not think about those people from the abyss sect. Lin Lan's beautiful eyes were about to burst into flames. After all, the profits from the Death Desert map were quite high. If it were lost like this, it would be heartbreaking for anyone else. Hearing the abyss sect, the man riding a giant wolf shouted coldly, Lin Lan, be careful what you say. Be careful of trouble coming from your mouth. That's right, if you don't want to live anymore, don't hurt us. If you provoke those madmen, aren't you afraid that they will massacre Haicheng? Several senior professionals started to criticize. The Abyss sect is a collective name. Generally refers to those who join forces with the top Abyss creatures. Fused with the aura of the Abyss, he gained powerful strength and a twisted mind. Lin Lan realized that he had made a mistake, and thought of the methods of those in the Abyss sect. His face turned pale and he said, I was also in a hurry. After all, the Lin family has suffered too much loss. The core area of the Death Desert can provide tens of millions of profits every year. It has been in vain. Who can bear this kind of loss? The two senior professionals of the Lin family standing behind her also had ugly expressions. Tens of millions every year, hundreds of millions in 10 years. Who is responsible for such a large loss? Other senior professionals showed disdain. Who doesn't know that collecting money for enclosing land on such a map is cutting off the leaks of newcomers? Of course, the profit is high for a business without capital that harms one's own people. Many people are dissatisfied with this kind of thing, but most of them keep to themselves and are too lazy to take care of it. Now seeing Lin Lan still complaining about injustice, he didn't give her a good look. Lin Lan was immediately embarrassed. She thought someone would be on her side. It's only your fault that the Lin family is unlucky. Besides, aren't you the vice president of the Secret Law Society? If that doesn't work, ask the Secret Law Society to give half of the territory to the Lin family. A senior professional wearing a metal glove gloated, or find the Huo family is fine, doesn't the eldest young master of the Huo family have a crush on you? Quote. Lin Lan glared at this person. But he said nothing. Whether it's the Secret Law Society or the Huo family, these two families are not easy to mess with. Why should they cut their flesh to the Lin family for no reason? At this moment, from the abyss ahead, a senior professional dressed as a thief flew out. He happened to hear this and shook his head and said, "The Secret Law Society and the Huo family are finished. There is a new area down here, which is probably a secret realm, called the Desert Imperial Tomb. This news cannot be suppressed. Soon there will be strong men from the provincial capital coming to investigate." As soon as these words came out, everyone's expression changed. Desert Royal Tomb, Secret Realm. Among the people who were originally gloating about the misfortune, there were also members of the Huo family. Now they can't laugh either. The provincial capital must send someone to take over the secret place where the Death Desert was born. Because every secret realm may become the entrance to the abyss, and is inextricably linked to the abyss. To ensure safety, at least 4th-level professionals should be in charge to check the situation at any time. Once the professionals from the provincial capital come, their good days will be over. After all, professionals in major provincial capitals pay the most attention to the training of newcomers, encircling the land in front of them to collect money and harm the newbies. Isn't that courting death? Seeing these people perform face changes, Lin Lan felt that the depression was dissipated, sneered, and said, "Okay, now no one can make money, what else can we say? Disperse." She was full of anger and flew away directly. Too unlucky. Encountered 2 top professionals in one day, and the Lin family lost a lot of money. Fortunately, she finally learned that it was not their Lin family who was unlucky, which made her feel a lot more balanced. People are like this, as long as they are not the only one who is unlucky, they will feel much more comfortable. Chu Ran, who left through reverse teleportation, didn't know. His move exposed the Desert Royal Tomb and directly cut off the long-term financial path of the 3 major forces. But even if Chu Ran knew, he would not care. After leaving the teleportation area, Chu Ran went directly to the trading house and sold the gold fragments and the ordinary equipment he had found in the Death Desert with one click, earning a small amount of money. The joy of counting money did not last long. A message suddenly popped up on his communication. Group trial. I almost forgot about it. Chu Ran took a look and then realized it. These new professionals still have to participate in a trial, which is almost equivalent to the college entrance examination. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.